Midweek Sport
on BBC Radio Shropshire
with Mary Kate Wielden.
Radio can't believe it, and he takes the opportunity with both hands. What a moment! Pandemonium in the away end.
Hello and good evening from Oswestry, the home of the New Saints, as the Welsh champions are back in European action tonight. After a short Champions League qualifying campaign, Craig Harrison's side take on Luxembourg Swift's Hesper. The TNS boss says he hopes home advantage will pay off in the first leg.
People will argue that if you can go out to a team and keep a clean sheet and bring them back home, you've got an opportunity. Or there's the other argument, if you can get off to a good start and then finish strong in the second leg, then I don't think with the removal of the away goal in European football now, I don't think there's a huge advantage on either or who plays home or away first.
Kick-off is just under an hour away, and Nick Southall has your team news.
Well, there's just one change made by Craig Harrison, despite all the injury problems they've had in between these games when they got eliminated from the Champions League against the Swedish champions BK Häcken. Tonight they're playing Swift Hesper, the champions of Luxembourg. John Routledge, who limped off against Häcken last week, is out of action for tonight's game. He's replaced by Rory Holden in the heart of that midfield. But the team is virtually the same as the one that did very well against Häcken but couldn't get over the line in the end. Full match coverage on its way.
Well, can TNS head to Luxembourg next week in a strong position to qualify? We've got full match commentary coming up here on BBC Radio Shropshire.
Midweek Sport
on BBC Radio Shropshire
with Mary Kate Wielden.
Well, good evening and welcome to Qual, where the sun is shining. It's a little bit different to last Tuesday night, which was a little bit grey and overcast, but the sun's definitely shining tonight, which hopefully is going to be a good sign for TNS here as they play the Luxembourg champions Swift Hesper. Now, Nick, we've just had the team news in. Obviously, a couple of changes tonight. No McManus again. That was to be expected. But looking at it's a strong team. From what we've heard.
Yeah, it is. I mean, look, Dick McManus, who scored a goal away in Gothenburg in Sweden a couple of weeks ago in that Champions League qualifier, stood out in that game. Unfortunately, was injured, didn't feature in the second leg here at Qual, and again, still struggling with that groin injury. So when you're missing your leading goal scorer like Dick McManus, it's a big problem for the New Saints at this time of year, which is so important to them when they're in Europe, and this is the goal for them. They want to get into the group stages of the Conference League, so he will be a big miss for them tonight. From the starting 11 from last week, it is just one change, so that's better news for Craig Harrison. The goalkeeper's Connor Roberts. Looks like they're going to play four at the back with Chris Marriott at left back, Danny Davies at right back. The two centre-halves will be Ryan Astles and Josh Pask. Then three in midfield, Rory Holden, who comes in to replace the injured John Routledge. To his left, Jordan Clark, who I thought was outstanding last week here against BK Häcken. Leo Smith as well, who's been performing very well for Craig Harrison. He makes up the other player in that midfield. And then either side of the forwards, Ryan Brobble, Jordan Williams on the left, who provided the goal for Dick McManus away in Sweden a few weeks ago, and Josh Daniels, the former Shrewsbury Town midfielder. He's been struggling with a bit of a head injury, got a knock against BK Häcken and had some stitches, and you probably noticed tonight, Mary Kate, he'll have a bandage wrapped around his head just to make sure that it doesn't open up that scar again. It's in a very awkward place as well, right on the forehead, so hopefully Josh Daniels will be okay. When it comes to Swift Hesper, of course, a bit of an unknown, really. Don't get fooled, though, by how small Luxembourg is, even though it is slightly bigger than the population of Shropshire, only slightly. They still have some very good players. And what they can do, because they are landlocked with the likes of Belgium and France, they can draw on players from the lower leagues in the Belgium and French systems, some coming in from Germany as well. And they've had a millionaire coming in 2020, just before COVID struck. And he wants to get this club into the group stages. He wants to make a name for himself. It's a bit of a pet project. And so they've recruited very well. And I watched the game when they played against Slovan Bratislava in the Champions League qualifier last week, and it was 1-1 after the away leg in Slovakia. And then the home leg, they were very unfortunate to have gone down by 2-0 because of 2 penalties. They looked a very good team on the front foot, so it's going to be a stern test.
You might be a little bit confused as to why we're calling them a Swift Hesper tonight. Well, Scott Harris has been speaking to some of our Luxembourg colleagues, and he can tell us why we're calling them Swift Hesper instead of Swift Hesperange.
Well, good evening, Mary Kate. Yes, I asked our colleagues from Radio Luxembourg just a few moments ago, and apparently if you're in France, it would be Hesperange, but in Luxembourg it's just Swift Hesper. So I hope that's cleared it up for you.
Makes it a little bit easier for us as well.
It does sound more impressive to go with the French pronunciation of Hesperange, but we'll just stick with Hesper.
Thank you very much. That's Scott Harris, tonight's summariser. We've got loads still coming up between now and kick-off, which is about 50 minutes away. We're going to be hearing from forward Ben Clark, as well as, of course, manager Craig Harrison. Now, I spoke to defender Ryan Assels yesterday, and he told me how preparations have been going.
The manager and the staff and whoever else, the scouts, obviously do the work on them and send it over to us. We go through stuff on the pitch, we go through video, so we know about them, so we know what we're in for. Another tough game, but as I said, we'll put our game together and hopefully we'll pick up a good result.
Obviously, I don't know a lot about them. A lot of fans won't know a lot about them. What have you seen from the team that you're going to be playing?
Not a lot, but obviously, as I just said, we get the players sent over to us from the game last week as well, so we just get little clips and see who we're obviously position-wise, who we're going to play against, how they play, and just different stuff really, but it does help because you do watch it, you know what they're going to be about, and we've got to, as I say, stand strong and go again.
A different tie as well, that you'll be at home first. Does that have any advantages, disadvantages? How do you kind of approach that?
It's European football, and we've got to be in the leg going into the second game, whatever happens. Obviously, you'd want to go away first maybe and get the crowd out the way and then bring them back here, but as you say, it's just the way they draw, so we've got to play home first, so we'll just take the game as it is.
Obviously, bar the disappointment last week, you're very good at home, you know that. Would that give you a bit of a boost going in, knowing if you can go in the first leg and get a lead, then you're in a good chance then? Yeah, definitely. As I say, we were unlucky. I was pretty unlucky last week to even not get a result, so as I say, we've got to take the positives out of that as well, but if we stay in the game, of course, we'll go there and we'll believe that we can get through to the next round. That's the new Saints defender, Ryan Assels. Sounds like it's been a little bit difficult in preparations getting ready for tonight's game, with just the sheer lack of being able to watch the other team. Scott, how difficult will that be? You know, Craig said he's only been able to see the 2 games against Slovan Bratislava. That's all he's been able to see. How difficult is that when you're trying to prepare for a game? It's very difficult at this time of year because the draw took place, was it Thursday? Last week, so it's a very quick turnaround, isn't it, for these games? So it's very difficult to do any kind of in-depth planning. I'm sure, Craig's got a big team around him who are working probably around the clock to make sure that they are fully prepared and well equipped for this match, of course, but it is very difficult when there's such a short amount of time to get ready for your opponent. So finding out every last little bit of detail, if you have a little bit more notice with these fixtures, you just don't have that at this time of the season. And to make it just a little bit more difficult, if it wasn't hard enough, Swift have had 7 managers in the last 3 seasons. The latest in current is Carlos Fanguero. He only started the job on the 1st of July, so it's going to be hard to anticipate what he wants to do. Yeah, that's right. And I did do my research, obviously, but I couldn't quite find out why their previous coach had left the club, and no one seemed to be able to tell me here either when speaking to our colleagues from Luxembourg. So yeah, a new manager, as you mentioned, only been in the position since the beginning of July. He's new. Portuguese manager Carlos Fanguero, a number of lower league clubs in Portugal as a player before a move to Millwall in 2005 and then to Walsall just down the M6 in 2006, both for a season before a spell in Greece at Ionikos, ending his career in Luxembourg as a player at Bissen in 2013, 10 years ago. And as a manager, as we mentioned, from the 1st of July. So on the back of 3 years, their league rivals, Dudelange. So he's brought a few players with him on the 1st of July. Sinani and Aldin Skendrovic have come with him. Charles Moran has come too. So in total, 17 new arrivals to the squad since the end of last season. So any consistency
of last season has somewhat perhaps disappeared. Big wholesale changes for the visitors in a manager position, but also with some squad players. So TNS need to pounce on that, any insecurities that they might have.
Well, I'm not trying to out myself. I did try and do a little bit of research, and I'm not saying I only look on Wikipedia, but I had a quick Google search, and looking on Wikipedia, there's not a lot about Swift on the internet as a whole, but they did win their first league title last season, so that it's not something to be, shunned on or think that this is going to be easy.
I agree. Certainly from the research point of view, it's been very difficult. But yeah, inexperience, I think, is the word we're looking for in Europe for Swift. This is only their 4th tie in European history. They've never won a game in a two-legged match. In fact, they've only scored 2 goals and have conceded 11. Not that counts for much, of course. A big night for them. Like TNS, though, they are big scorers. Over 100 goals domestically last season. A good defensive record to match. And I think, as Nick mentioned, that game against Slovan Bratislava, a very good side, obviously beat Hesper in the Champions League qualifying round, but they certainly put up a good fight. 2 penalties, I think it was, in the home leg last week. So defensively, they'll be very difficult to break down. And I think what TNS need to have is that appetite from the get-go. It was a slow start in the tie at Häcken. TNS, it took a while it took them to go 2-0 down before they finally kick-started something. Declan McManus scoring that only goal in Sweden. So they're going to need to be hot out the blocks from the get-go if they're going to have any chance of taking charge of this tie. And you'd look at this tie, Mary Kate, and think, well, they're going to have to take a lead to Luxembourg next Tuesday.
I don't want to sound like I'm the bearer of bad omens, but when they played Häcken, obviously last week, that was the first time that they'd won their respective division as well. Same as the Luxembourg side here. I don't want to try and sound like I'm trying to jinx it, but again, you would think this is going to be a very different game to last week. But again, just a tough game, and like you say, one they are going to have to take a lead into.
You would think so. I mean, we talk about coefficients regularly with our TNS output in Europe, but Wales are ranked 50th out of 55 nations in European club football. Luxembourg's system is actually ranked 42nd, above Northern Ireland. So some indication there of the level of difficulty for TNS. Yes, it's easier on paper with the coefficient than their Champions League opponents from Sweden, but it's still going to be a difficult challenge. A more evenly matched contest, you would like to think. TNS perhaps technically underdogs, but there won't be much in it. I expect it to be toe-to-toe from both sides. The questions really that need to be answered is who's going to work the ball and punish their opposite number in those individual battles that will be going on the pitch. Lots of physical mini battles in midfield to open up the avenue of finding a goal. No away goals rules since that change, so that makes it a little bit easier, I think, for TNS to have don't have that threat of conceding. It's a little bit more open in that sense. But I think TNS will want to get a few goals tonight to take some kind of advantage to Luxembourg next Tuesday.
Well, we'll find out in the next 45 minutes when kick-off comes at 7 o'clock. In the next hour, when the next 45 minutes even, we're going to be hearing from the manager, Craig Harrison. Tells us a little bit more about tonight's opponents. I can see fans slowly starting to come in. The smell of chips is definitely wafting in the air. So that's probably where everybody is, because we've sat here and I'm sat with me and Scott. I summarised this tonight. I've been trying to decide what the smell in the air is. I'm pretty sure it's chips, though.
Well, I thought I could smell donuts at one point, but maybe my nose is not quite in tune. Maybe it is chips after all.
That'd be a rogue, though, for football. Donuts, that would be a welcome addition.
I'd love a donut at a football match.
A very, very welcome addition soon. We'll be back with Scott very shortly before kick-off. Good evening and welcome to Park Call. We're now 40 minutes from kick-off here as the New Saints kick off their UEFA Conference League tie against Swift Hesper. That's after they got knocked out of the Champions League last weekend. They lost their home leg 2-0 at home and 5-1 on aggregate to Swedish champions BK Häcken. However, TNS did have chances in the game, and forward Ben Clark says they've been working on taking their opportunities.
Every single European tie is unknown because you never really played them before, or it's unlikely you played them before. So they're all going to be tough teams because they're all champions of their league. So we know it's going to be a tough test, but we prepare the same like we do as a league game, and we always try and get a good result.
I guess that's exciting as well, that you get to test yourself against different types of teams as well.
Yeah, definitely, because obviously the Swedish team were very possession-based. we don't really know what these will be like possession based because they were playing a team that were ranked higher than them. We will definitely have to be wary in the first half and see what they're about, and then obviously attack the best way we can to take a good result over to their place.
When you look at obviously Hacken last week, that was a really tough game against a very good team. Are you kind of just excited to get out and have another go after kind of that disappointment?
Yeah, definitely. We know we were disappointed to lose that game because at the end of the day, they're a very good team and most likely will get into a group stage this year. So to get another shot at the cherry is really good, really, because our aim is to get into a group stage as well. So it gives us another opportunity to do that.
I suppose in a weird way, it's good to be disappointed because especially at home, you're very much in the game as well.
But yeah, at home, we know we're good here. We put on a good performance last week against Hacken in the second leg, and we should have scored a few goals as well because we had some good opportunities. But we know it's going to be the same again tomorrow. If we put in a good performance, we'll create chances and hopefully get a few goals to take over to their place.
How do you take those chances when like you say, especially in the home leg, you had chances to score, maybe they didn't come off? Have you been working on kind of just taking those chances at the end?
Yeah, well, we have done a lot of shooting this week, obviously, to try and get them chances. But in Europe, it's a lot harder to create those chances than we do in the league. So when they come, we have to take them. Otherwise, we will get punished on the other end of the pitch.
That's forward Ben Clark. There, Nick Southall is your commentator tonight. We were talking a lot about them taking the chances. They had a lot of opportunities last week. They had 6 shots last week and they didn't take any in the home leg. How important is it in European competitions like this just to take your chances?
Well, yeah, I mean, what's important is that they win their home leg, because we know from past experience with the New Saints that when they've had a lead here and taken it into Europe, it's fared much better. It's very hard, even going to Luxembourg City next week, the capital of Luxembourg. Although it's not going to be a big crowd, they'll be playing at the National Stadium, and it will be a very different environment to what they're used to. So I think that you need to make sure that home advantage helps. I think it's not quite a sellout here tonight, but they're expecting around 800 home fans to be here, which will be good to cheer them on. So I think you need to really take the advantage there. They will miss Dick McManus, there's no doubt about that. When you the leading goal scorer last season, he was outstanding, took a brilliant goal, a header in Sweden a few weeks ago as well. But they have players that can hurt Swift Hesper. It's not just Ryan Brobble up front. You look in their midfield and it's full of players that can score goals. Jordan Williams has got his fair share of goals in the past. Josh Daniels as well. Even from deep in that midfield, Ben Clark and Leo Smith are well capable. And also from set pieces, when they get Ryan Astles and Josh Pass going up, they are very capable of hurting teams from corners and free kicks. So, yeah, McManus is a big loss for them, but they do have goals in this team. We have to remember that BK Hacken were an exceptional team and the hardest that they could have got in that round of the Champions League. So tonight will really tell us where the New Saints are in terms of this European campaign. If they're on it, then they should beat Swift Hesper. If they're not, then, as we said earlier, it's last chance to learn for them. They can't go any further. If they lose this over 2 legs, then they're out of Europe for another year.
And it's not that we know they can score goals. Like you said, he's got over 100 league goals last season. And yes, without Declan McManus, who got 29 of those. But the goals are there. What do you think? Do you think there's some sort of pressure that they maybe don't realise is there, but kind of just in the back of the mind?
Well, I think what the problem last week was against Hacken is that they had to soak up a lot of pressure. Hacken was so good on the ball and very patient on the ball as well, that the possession stats were well in favour of the Swedish champions. And because of that, the New Saints were always in that tie, having to try and take the game as deep as they could to stay in the tie after being 3-1 down after the first leg. They were always on the back foot, and so they knew that if they conceded early here at Qual, then the tie would have been over. So the game plan would have been to not concede, take it to the last 20-25 minutes and try and get those 2 goals to take it into extra time. And I think it was just purely the circumstances of that game why we didn't see a lot of them in that attacking third. Although when they did turn it on, we saw some really decisive passes between the lines. They found good areas, but maybe because of the first leg they had very little to do in an attacking sense, that they weren't quite at their best. I'm sure they would have been practicing very hard in between, and hopefully they'll have their shooting boots on tonight.
The Swift Hesper, we can just see them warming up now. Very different physically from the Hacken team that we saw last week, who were quite a tall team and quite physical. Just looking at the team, they don't look like they've got as much height at the back, which may play into TNS's advantage. When they don't have McManus as well, when they haven't got him to aim for, this looks like it could be more beneficial for them.
Yes, it could be. It's a very good spot. You know, Hacken were a very tall, athletic, strong team, full-time team, players that have played in the highest levels in Serie A and the Bundesliga, whereas Swift Hesper are, as far as we're aware, still part-time. They want to go full-time, but you look at the size of Hesperange and it is probably roughly the size of Oswestry. So these are 2 very probably equally matched clubs in that sense. The thing is with Swiss Hesper is that they can draw on clubs from other countries around them because they are landlocked in between these countries, and France and Belgium, and so they have a good pick of the lower leagues in those countries to really bring in some talent, and also they've outspent the other teams in that Luxembourg league in order to win the league for the first time. So, you know, they have some talented players who've played at good levels in Europe before. And as you say, that physical side, it's not quite the same, but if you're not training full-time, then there are limitations on what you can do as a club. We must remember the New Saints are full-time. And we have heard that Hesper haven't played on artificial before. And this is an artificial pitch, so that's a big advantage for TNS.
That was a big thing last week. Well, luckily for TNS, what they wanted is it dry, so it slows the pitch down and it plays into the hands. I know we had some rain earlier, but it has been dry most of the day and the sun is still out, so hopefully that'll play into TNS's hands. Scott, we're talking about the forwards, and I know Ryan Brobble was a doubt for this evening. He is starting tonight. We look at, you know, Declan McManus is such a big miss for TNS, and he is. But when you look at Ryan Brobble, who's been here since 2016, he scored 78 goals in that time. You know, he's a different target man, but one that they can utilise, you'd think.
For sure, and you look at that front line, Josh Daniels coming in last season, the experience that he has. Obviously, he had time at Derry City, so no doubt had a few European ties under his belt. Also at Glenavon as well before he went to Shrewsbury. Second season for him, of course. Jordan Williams as well, signing 2021, so he would have had the experience of last season. So, yeah, they've got a very capable front line, and we did see that for small parts of the last time the Champions League. You just feel that, as I mentioned before, you've got to be first out the blocks. You've got to be really hot on it from the get-go in these European ties. They're a little bit sluggish in that first leg in Hacken. The occasion, the noise of the stadium, it was a 6,000 stadium, but it felt like double that in terms of volume. So again, little things like that will still put you off. On home territory here tonight, it's a home game. So the surface, as you mentioned a few moments ago, that is going to be a huge advantage for TNS, because Hesper, they're not used to playing on what will be a very quick surface. It will be a quicker surface than grass for sure. So from that perspective, that front line should be able to take on some of these Hesper players with confidence. Just a quick line on what Nick was saying there in terms of Hesper and Swift and the money that's going into that Luxembourg league. It's a very good league for the geography and the size of the country. The fact that there's about 600,000 people who live in Luxembourg. A lot of the players are being swept up from the third and fourth fifth tiers of French football and German football and the top league in Belgium. So the Luxembourg League is getting stronger year on year and will continue to climb up the coefficient. Sadly, for the Welsh system, that isn't the case, because TNS are the only side who are full-time and they're winning the league year on, year out, or have been for the last few seasons, but haven't really had that competition in terms of other full-time clubs to really take the whole league to the next level. So having regular games against clubs who are looking to push on, well, TNS are kind of in a league of their own in that sense. So from a Welsh football point of view, and sides getting into the group stages, which is, I think, a realistic aim. You know, clubs in Ireland have managed to do it, but Wales have never been able to have a club team in a group stage of a European competition. Luxembourg seem to be getting close and closer, but I just feel, are the FAW doing enough to have a Welsh league system that's capable of providing the competition for players to come to TNS and give them that appetite to really push on?
But that's something we talked about last week, just about how difficult it is, and it is amazing obviously for them to win the league, and it's great for them, but in terms of competitiveness and how that sets them up, it just is, there is no benefit to that.
And you know, there's no disrespect here to the Welsh system, it is what it is, but there has to be some appetite to have a fully professional league in Wales that will only be good for Welsh football and the Welsh national team. Obviously Wales is very unique, isn't it, in terms of how their teams are allowed to play in England. The bigger clubs are playing in England. It isn't really like that anywhere else in Europe, I don't think. But to have a fully professional league in Wales, I think would give sides a much better even footing in ties like this, even though the Luxembourg League is part-time, looking to go fully professional. It's about attracting that talent, and TNS have always been able to attract that talent. Very talented, if not the talented squad that perhaps Craig Harrison has had, and certainly TNS have had in the past 5 years or so under previous managers. But you know, Craig Harrison, he's an astute manager, because you know, he's back leading the New Saints on European adventures once again. He's had numerous attempts before, when he was director of football and as manager in his first time around, just over a decade ago. So, you know, he's well equipped for these challenges, but I do feel that TNS are kind of fighting against the tide sometimes in terms of their own domestic setting and where they're placed to attract even larger, bigger, stronger talent to push into and finally get into that all-elusive group stage.
Yeah, speak to Craig Harrison on a regular basis, and obviously a lot more when we're going into these Europeans. He always seems so excited. You can tell he's a manager that's really passionate about what he does and what they're trying to achieve here at the New Saints, which is to get into a European group stage for the first time in their history. Can they get one step closer to that tonight? Well, we'll find out. We're about just over 25 minutes away now from kick-off when the TNS take on Swift Hesper here in the second qualifying round of the UEFA Conference League. Not long to go now. The fans are slowly coming in. The sun, it's actually got a little bit brighter. It's got later, but it's got brighter as the grey clouds stay away, which is what TNS will want to keep this ground nice and sticky, this artificial pitch that they've got here. Now, we've been speaking about the forwards and the forward players. Well, Jordan Williams is one of those, and he says that it's important that his side bounce back this evening.
Positive, really. I thought we did all right like last week, to be fair. Unlucky with the goals and going down to 10 men, but with the way Europe comes around, you just got to pick yourselves up and crack on and go again and believe we can win.
You had a lot of chances as well in the home leg. How do you go about more taking some of those chances in this?
Simple as that. We've just got to be a bit more clinical and finish them. Just got to take the chances when we get them. That's as simple.
How do you kind of approach a week after the last week in the game? How does a step-by-step week then work, building up again to another game?
You've got to recover first of all, I think. That was obviously a tough game. You've got to recover, right, and then come and train like you do with the intensity we do, and then obviously the coaches and the gaffer will give us our tactical bits, and we've just got to listen and take it on board.
How much do you sit and you watch clips and you're analysing kind of how the other team are going to approach it?
Depends how much they want to show us, really, but yeah, I think you've got to take in little bits and see how they play, obviously, to get your game plan, and then, but obviously focus on how we play as well.
It's very different to the league where you play the team so many times, you know them inside out. Can it kind of have an advantage? You don't know what you're going into, you just go in and play your game how you want to do it.
Yeah, I suppose so. I think you get certain players who like that, who'd prefer like the unknown, and obviously it's Europe as well. You want to win it. You want to win, because otherwise it's not going to come around again until next year.
What about you? What do you like? Do you like to know, or do you like to have that little bit of uncertainty?
I like a bit of uncertainty. I like to know certain bits, maybe about defenders, but I kind of feel like you figure it out during the game anyway. But I don't, just off the cuff anyway.
Obviously, yeah, going into the Conference League, that presents a new opportunity that a couple of years ago you wouldn't have had in this competition. So just another opportunity to get to those group stages.
Yeah, we've just got to give it our all, to give ourselves the best chance of progressing through this entire year.
That's the new Saints forward, Jordan Williams there, speaking about hopefully getting through tonight and hopefully taking an advantage into the second leg, which will be away in Luxembourg. Last week, Nick, talk was all about, for the first leg, it was all about we've got to get there and still be in the game for the home leg. It feels like it's the complete reverse of that tonight.
Yeah, they've just got to try and take an advantage, Mary Kate, to Luxembourg next week. If they go behind here going into that second leg, then I think it will be very tough, because we saw how hard it was for Slovan Bratislava in that Champions League qualifier last week, which was on national television actually, so we got a chance to watch that game here in the UK, and they played very well at home in that national stadium. So I think it would be very tough, and I think that they have to make sure that home advantage serves them well.
We know just how good they are here. They won every league game here last season. They only lost once, I think, which is in the Scottish Cup. Just to have that psychological advantage of knowing you are capable of winning here, will that help? And this Swift team will come here and know just how good TNS are here as well.
Well, we hope so. But they've had injury problems, and when you've got some of your best players who are either not fully fit or who aren't playing at all, then it's a bit of a headache for Craig Harrison. They're without John Routledge, who I thought played very well against Hacken last week, and when he went off, things started to fall apart a bit in that midfield. Dec McManus, we've spoken about, the leading goal scorer, of course, is going to make a big difference if he was playing, and Ryan Brobble isn't 100% fit, so I think what's imperative is that they start off on the front foot in the opening 20 minutes, because they got caught cold at Hacken. They conceded 2 early goals inside 12 minutes and then had to really work hard to get back in that game, which they did, and had a superb second half there in Gothenburg. But they don't want to be on the back foot. They finally want to get themselves on the front foot in a European tie. But we know that Swift Hesper like to be on the front foot as well. So it's going to be fascinating to see how it plays out.
Well, that is, what happened last season. They had the first leg at home against Linfield and took a lead into that away leg and lost. I just feel like I'm jinxing everything tonight. But that is the fact, and that is, what happened. A lot of these players were here last season as well and would have experienced that. They will be doing everything in their power to avoid that feeling again.
Well, that's right. But what they've got to look at is the fact that there are certain things in their favour. The pitch is in their favour because Swift Hesper haven't played on artificial before, so that's in their favour. If you look at their European experience, they've had very little experience playing in Europe. The furthest they got was the first round back in 1990 in the UEFA Cup Winners' Cup, and they lost out to Legia Warsaw of Poland. A heavy defeat there over 2 legs, and more recently, I think they've had 2 other games in Europe, so they don't have the know-how to get over the line like the New Saints do. Okay, the New Saints haven't had great success in terms of reaching the group stages just yet, but they've had success in the past of getting to the Europa League playoffs, which is a great achievement, and very unlucky not to have made the group stages then. And they've won other games in Europe as well, and gone toe-to-toe with the likes of Apoel Nicosia, Videoton, the Hungarian champions. Even against Anderlecht at times they played very well. So they've been there and done it, and a lot of these players have as well. This isn't an overly different team to what's been around for the last 5 to 6 years for the New Saints. So they have that experience where Swift Hesper don't. And you look at the Swift team, and although good players, they've got quite a number of players in their early to mid-30s. So I think the average age of Swift Hesper is higher than the New Saints. And what they've tried to do is bring in experience from those lower leagues in France and Belgium and even Germany, which is all well and good, but they may not have the legs that they used to have, and again another advantage for the New Saints. But I thought they played very well against Slovan Bratislava. You know, historically Slovan Bratislava quite a biggish club in Europe, going back to the 1980s and 1990s. Recently as well, played against Wolves, and for Swift Hesper to get a draw away in Bratislava, I thought was an outstanding achievement for them. So I think that's the size of the task that TNS know that they've got on their hands.
But one player that impressed last week, who is missing today, who hasn't even made the bench, is John Routledge, that we've spoke about, and it's Rory Holden that's come in for him. I know he's someone that Craig Harrison is very impressed with. When I spoke to him in the week, he said, the only reason he hasn't made the team is just because he hadn't had as many minutes as some of the others. This is a good opportunity for him to go out and impress.
Oh, it's a great opportunity for Rory Holden, because I would say it's going to be a few weeks for John Routledge to come back from that groin strain. I thought actually Danny Williams played very well in that position as well. So Rory Holden is very adaptable, very versatile, and he'll get his chance in the heart of that midfield, whereas before it would either have been Danny Williams or John Routledge in that previous time, the Champions League. But yeah, Rory Holden has great experience in the Football League as well in England. So a big opportunity for him, and these are what these players play for here in the Cymru Premier. They want to get into Europe. They want to play against the big clubs and say, I played against, I don't know, Anderlecht and those massive clubs in Europe. That's what they want. And whereas most of the time they are the minnows to the giants of European football, well, both these clubs are seen as minnows in European football, so they've got a big chance.
Another player who was really important as well in the last two legs was goalkeeper Connor Roberts. We don't, talk enough really about goalkeepers most of the time, but he, really, I know he conceded 5 goals over the 2 legs, but it could have been a lot worse. And he could, again, we don't really know what to expect from this Swift Hesper side. He could be a big player again tonight.
Well, he could, and Pierre Mateus Hogmo, the Häcken manager, pointed out how good he thought Connor Roberts was as well. We mustn't forget that when Häcken went 2-0 up in that game, in front of a home crowd, it could easily have just completely fallen apart for the New Saints. And had it not been for Connor Roberts, who, as a goalkeeper, you've conceded 2 goals early on, whether it's your fault or not, it still goes against your name. And it's a bit of pride, and you think, here we go. This is not going to be a European tie I'll be remembered for. So to keep his nerve and his composure as he did, that strength in character, to pull off 4 or 5 brilliant saves in that tie, shows you how good a goalkeeper he is. I know that there are a lot of clubs monitoring his progress. He just, for me, seems to have it all. He's the right height for a goalkeeper. He's athletic, his kicking is good. The New Saints like to play the ball from defence, so he has to be comfortable with the ball at feet. And he's such a good shot stopper as well. So, he had an outstanding game. I think he'll be busy again, though, against Swift Hesper. So, again, he'll have to be on top of his own game to make sure that TNS go through.
Well, some of the players are slowly making their way in. We're just over 15 minutes away from kick-off now here at Park Hall. And just coming up next, we'll hear from manager Craig Harrison. Well, welcome to Park Hall, where we're just 15 minutes away from kick-off here, as TNS are taking on Swift Hesper in the second qualifying round of the UEFA Conference League. And Nick Southall will bring you a recap of tonight's team news.
Yeah, lovely sunny night here in Oswestry. Just one change for the New Saints. That's forced through injury. John Routledge out injured. Rory Holden comes into the starting 11. So in goal is Roberts, 4 across the back, and Marriott and Davies as the fullbacks. Astles and Pask in the centre of defence. Then 3 in midfield, Smith, Holden and Clark. Then up front, Brobble down the centre. We know he's not 100% fit, but a lot fitter than Dec McManus at the moment. And then either side of Brobble, Williams on the left and Daniels on the right. It's a strong bench as well for TNS. Thompson, the backup goalkeeper, and Edwards also. Then McManus does make the bench, but we'll be very surprised to see him featured. Danny Redmond also is struggling with injury. Chislovich, Hudson, Williams, Ross Crowe, Baker, Canavan, David and Kirkman are the others. If we have a very quick look at the opposition team news, well, they have quite a number of players who've played in the lower leagues in France, in Germany and in Belgium. They have quite an ageing goalkeeper, but he's 6'4" Frenchman, Depierre. He is in goal. They're playing 4-4-2. Martins at left back, Ekafo at right back, Skenderovic and Premper in the centre of defence. Skenderovic playing in the Bundesliga 2. Then in midfield, Moren in the centre with Courtois. Over on the left, Sacras, who's played for Luxembourg as an international, started off his professional career at Metz in France as a 17-year-old. And Sinani over on the right is another experienced player who can play as a wing back as well as right wing. Then up front, Dominik Stolz from Germany. He's played in the German third tier, and Paul Ayongo, who's come from the Central Coast in Australia. So a real mix of internationals and nationalities in that Swift Hesper team. But this is a very newly built team. This is only the second real game that their manager, Carlos Fangueiro, the Portuguese manager, has actually taken charge of, and he's brought in a lot of players. So again, another advantage for the New Saints, where they're quite a stable squad. Swift Hesper are newly arranged, if you can say that so, and I think that they're going to have to really work hard to get to know each other quickly if they're to progress in Europe.
Well, that's how the two teams are lining up tonight. And now TNS manager Craig Harrison also said he was a bit unsure about how the Luxembourg champions would be signing up tonight. Swift Hesper were beaten in the Champions League qualifiers by Slovan Bratislava. The only matches Harrison has had the chance to see.
It's been really tough because they've had a new manager. They've had a lot of investment, so you get the opportunity with technology and Y-Scout to have a look and see how they play and the players and the style and the formation, etc. But to complete overhaul, I think they've got 15 new players. And from their last two games, there's only been, in one of the games, there's 2 players started, which one was a goalkeeper from last year, and the other game there's 3. So it's been really tough. We've just had to work off the 2 games we've seen, which were against Slovan Bratislava, and they both put really good performance up there. You know, that's, you know, you look at it, it was 1-1 out there in Bratislava, and they got beat 2-0 at home. Yes, Bratislava had 10 men for 46, 47 minutes, but still, you know, we've played Bratislava and they're a good team. You know, so to get beat 3-1 on aggregate over the 2 legs, then they are obviously a good team, and they are, you can tell. But we're going to get that, aren't we? It's champions path, it's champions of every team in Europe. So we don't expect to, you know, even though they've got higher coefficients than us, even the ones that haven't, it's never an easy game.
From the 2 games you have seen, what kind of team are they? Are they physical, possession based? What have you seen from them?
Yeah, they you know, from the 2 games you look at it, they're a good footballing team. They want to try and play, and they want to try and play from the back. They want to get the ball down and get the ball moving and start their rotations and patterns of play. So we've took that from them. We've took that from the 2 games. Like I said, it's really hard. You know, normally you look at 4 or 5 games and the patterns start to, you know, be made clear. But 2 games, is it a pattern? Is it a specific game? You know, against the same opponent, which is really tough. We haven't even get the opportunity to see them play against a different opponent, so it might have just been their game plan to play against that opponent. We're not too sure, but we know what we're doing. We're clear with what we're doing, and we'll be ready to go.
A little bit of the reverse from the Champions League, obviously at home first. Yeah. Does that, you know, set you up? You know you can get good results here. If you can get a good result, set you up hopefully to go through. Yeah,
I've been on the end of both. But with my time here involved, you know, I've been in home games where we've done all right at home and got beat away. I've been all right where we've won at home and won away, and been where we've won at home and got beat away. So from my opinion, I'm not really too sure what it really, you know, people will argue, you know, the preference that if you can go out to a team and keep a clean sheet and bring them back home, you've got an opportunity. Or there's the other argument, if you can get off to a good start, and then finish strong in the second leg, then I don't think with the removal of the away goal in European football now, I don't think there's a huge advantage on either or who plays home or away first.
That's manager Craig Harrison giving his thoughts ahead of tonight's game. Scott Harris is tonight's summariser. What are your final thoughts going into what will TNS be thinking ahead of tonight? The disappointment last week. What are they thinking now?
Well, the defeat to Hacken was disappointing, but always expected in some ways, with them being the stronger team, undone by that start in Sweden. They need to learn lessons from that, but this opportunity now creates the more realistic target of reaching the group stages of the Conference League. Win this tie, and it puts them even closer to achieving that. Their European journey continues. For now, they'll be really excited about that, being at home, but they will most importantly want to take some kind of lead to Luxembourg next Tuesday.
Well, this is always my favourite bit where I get to push you both for predictions. So, Nick Southwell, we'll go with you first. What are you predicting tonight?
I think it's going to be tight, and I think it could be 2-2 tonight.
2-2?
I mean, it's hard to know. We've only seen the game against Slovan Bratislava, but I thought they looked very good. So, yeah, I'll go 2-2.
Scott?
Well, Nick's on the fence. He normally kicks off when we sit on the fence, but there he is, sat wedged with 2-2.
It's a big fence to sit on.
I'm going to say 2-1. I'd love TNS to get an early goal, and I'd love to see them win 2-1 tonight.
Well, that's your commentary team tonight of Nick Southall and Scott Harris. We'll be back with them very shortly.
Welcome to Park Hall for tonight's game. These two sides were both eliminated from the Champions League and find themselves in the last chance saloon in Europe. They've dropped into the second qualifying round of this UEFA Europa Conference League, and the losers are out of Europe. That's basically what it is. The winners continue on their quest for a place in the group stages. Swift Hesper were bought in 2020 by wealthy benefactor Flavio Becker and won their first championship in Luxembourg last season. They've outspent the other clubs. They have big ambitions and big money to lure talented players, but don't let the size of Luxembourg fool you. They narrowly lost out to Slovan Bratislava in the Champions League, and they'll provide a tough test for Craig Harrison's side tonight. We are 6 minutes away from kick-off here as the gang of photographers wait for the two teams who are just starting to merge in the tunnel below us here at Park Hall. It is a glorious summer's night, sunshine and blue skies and just a few cotton wool buds of clouds just drifting over slowly. Very different to the recent weather that we've had in these parts. Our summariser tonight is Scott Harris, who was with me in Sweden for that Champions League qualifier against BK Häcken. Obviously, Swift Hesper not as well known as BK Häcken, but a club where sometimes when you don't know too much about them, Scott, it poses a few problems. It means you can't quite do the research that you normally would.
Yeah, that's right. Good evening, Nick. And I think the New Saints are coming into this tie on the back foot in some ways, in terms of injuries from having that pretty much clear casualty table just a fortnight ago. There's a queue for treatment now. We know Declan McManus has a groin problem. He's on the bench listed, but do any of us really expect to see him? Probably not. I think they will want him to be available for the second leg in a week's time, if that's possible. Ryan Brobble, you mentioned, John Routledge, Danny Redmond, Dan Williams. They haven't trained at all this week. Brobble and Routledge, who played in that second leg against Häcken here last Tuesday. But, Craig Harrison has plenty of chips to bet with. This is a big squad, a squad with some depth, certainly of experience in Europe, and that puts TNS at level par in my view for this tie against their opponents. You mentioned the recent additions over the last few years, the likes of Josh Pask, You know, his experience as a West Ham youth player, lots of Football League experience with the likes of Gillingham and Coventry, Newport County as well when he went out on loan. He signed last summer, and also the likes of Josh Daniels, who as well would have had some experience in Europe with Derry City, Glenavon as well. He was at Shrewsbury in the Football League back in 2020. It's his second season at TNS. So there's lots of experience for Craig Harrison. You know, talk about betting chips. The stakes are certainly higher now because you have to perform tonight. A big night at home. What sort of lead can you take away with you? TNS perhaps had an advantage of not having to travel first, but that is only an advantage if you make it count.
Well, that's the voice of our summariser tonight, Scott Harris, alongside me, Nick Southall, for BBC Radio Shropshire. We're also on BBC Sounds as well, so you can get that wherever you are by downloading the BBC Sounds app on your mobile phone or on your tablet. And the referee has just emerged from the tunnel, so the two teams will be making their way out onto the pitch very shortly. The New Saints, of course, knocked out by BK Häcken, the Swedish champions in the Champions League, and Swift Hesper losing to Slovan Bratislava, also in the Champions League. And both find themselves now in the last chance saloon in Europe, because the losers will be out of Europe for at least a year, and the winners will be going through to the third qualifying round. We'll talk about their potential opponents a bit later on commentary, but they could be heading to either North Macedonia or Montenegro. Just one change for the New Saints tonight. That is an enforced change as well, because John Routledge is out injured, limped off against Häcken here last week, and he's been replaced in the starting 11 by Rory Holden. So just that one change, although there are other problems for the New Saints with the injury to Dec McManus, who's on the bench. Danny Redmond as well has also got an injury. Ryan Brobble is an injury concern as well, but he does start as the referee from Belgium, Jasper Vergoet. He is leading the two teams out in front of us. And there is a good home support here at Park Hall, as there was last week. The floodlights are on already as well. The New Saints in their green and white hoop tops, white shorts and white socks. Swift Hesper in their red colours. Scott Harris, we said a few moments ago, a bit of an unknown quantity really, this Swift Hesper team, considering that quite a number of these players are new, and so they haven't played alongside each other for too long.
And of course a new manager as well, new man coming in, Carlos Franguero. He had a spell in England as a player at Millwall back in 2005, at Walsall in 2006, both for a season before he went off to Greece, and he finished his playing career in Luxembourg 10 years ago, and he's just on the back of 3 years at their league rivals Dudelange, and he's brought a few players with him as well in Sanani, Aldin Skendrovic, has come with him, Charles Moran has come too. So 17 new arrivals on the books at Hesper just this summer, so any consistency of last season, that title winning side, perhaps has been dismantled a little bit with the new manager coming in. It's somewhat disappeared. Big wholesale changes for the visitors, and well, TNS need to capitalise on that.
Well, it's the 23rd successive year where the New Saints have qualified for Europe, and their aim ultimately is to get into the group stages. Now, as they win the league, they automatically go into the Champions League qualifiers, but there are some big clubs, even in the qualifying stages, to get past to try and get through to the group stages. So that is probably a bit of a pipe dream at the moment for them. But what it does mean is that they do get another chance, even if they slip up at the first hurdle in the qualifiers, by dropping down, not into the Europa League, but into the Europa Conference League. points. There are 3 European domestic kind of competitions that these clubs can play in, and there is a much better chance, a much more likely chance of the New Saints reaching the group stages in this competition. And when we saw the draw, the Luxembourg champions, many people would have thought, well, that's a very favourable draw indeed. But this club has had quite a bit of money pumped into it recently, and so I think this is going to be a very tough test for Craig Harrison's team. But we are about to see exactly what this Swift Hesper team can do, because we are about to get underway here at Parkour. Full match coverage on BBC Radio Shropshire and on BBC Sounds. And the referee just checking his stopwatch, chats to his assistants. No VAR tonight. The game, of course, here at Parkour being played on an artificial pitch, and we're underway. The New Saints kicking from our left to right in this first half in green and white. Swift Hesper all in red, and they are attacking straight away down the left channel into the Germans. Stoltz, also the captain as well, the 33-year-old, looks to cross it into the left edge of the penalty area. A confident start from the Luxembourg champions over on the far right-hand side. Chipped down the line towards Sinini. And the New Saints get the ball clear, and it goes out for a throw-in to Swift Hesper. So one change for TNS from the team but started against the Swedish champions BK Häcken in the Champions League, and that is Rory Holden replacing John Routledge in the heart of that midfield, as Hesper gets some ground down the right-hand side, and Stoltz crosses, cleared by Davies into the midfield, but Hesper are playing a high line and look to squeeze TNS early on, but the New Saints do manage to put pressure on the ball and get it out of their own half. So the TNS team is Roberts in goal. They have in defence Marriott, Pask, Astles and also Davies. Then 3 in midfield, Ben Clark, Rory Holden and Leo Smith. Then in front of them, Josh Daniels on the right, Jordan Williams on the left, and Ryan Brobel down the centre. The referee is Jasper Virgo from Belgium. And it's going to be a free kick early on here for Swift Hesper for an offside over on the far side of the ground. The New Saints kicking towards their home supporters, who are shielding their eyes from the sunshine. It's a beautiful evening here in Oswestry, Scott.
Perfect night for summer football, and Hesper have really started out the blocks quickly here in the opening few minutes.
But here's Clement Couturier, and brings about a save there from Conor Roberts. Just mishandled that, really. I thought he could have taken that quite comfortably, but he's put it behind for a corner.
Well, they seem to be coping well with the speedy surface. We were told earlier that they haven't played on an artificial surface before, Hesper, but they seem to be coping quite well in the opening stages.
With 2 minutes gone, no goals. TNS of Oswestry against Swift Hesper, the Luxembourg champions. Ball's deliberately played into the feet at the near post. A free kick given away, though, by Couturier, who's played in the lower leagues of France, and so a free kick for the New Saints. The Swift Hesper team is De Peer in goal, a defence of Martins, Premper, Skenderovic, Ekifo, and then in midfield Sinani, Moren, Couturier, Sakras, and then up front Stoltz and Ayongo. Now here's Davies playing right back for the New Saints, up to the halfway line. Josh Daniels drops deep and decides to pass it back into the defence to Pask. Conor Roberts looking to stretch this game by playing the ball out to the left, so already trying to utilise that width, and Jordan Williams runs from an onside position. He's got 2 defenders in front of him, tries to chip it over the defender there, Premper, who cost €300,000 for Swift Hesper. That's the amount of money that's been going into them recently. It opens up for Daniels, who takes a shot, and it's deflected at the near post. Good run by Josh Daniels, cutting in from a wide right position into the channel. And even got the TNS owner, Mike Harris, excited by that effort. Goes behind for a corner.
Yeah, TNS very good there at just opening up Hesper, overstretching them and Josh Daniels on that inside right with the shot. It was just a little bit tame, perhaps. Could have struck it a little bit better. But, well, got a corner.
First corner for the New Saints then on their right-hand side. It's deep. The keeper is underneath it. 6'4" Frenchman, Jordan Depierre. And he launches it forward early, and then pass collides with Sinani. And the referee gives a free kick for Swift Hesper just on the edge of the centre circle, which they take quickly. They are a team that, from what we gather, watching them against Slovan Bratislava, they do like to patiently build their attack. They like to keep possession. Their attacks sometimes progress slowly. But they've been very much on the front foot early on here, Scott. 5 minutes gone, no goals.
Yeah, well, TNS needed that confidence from the get-go, didn't they? You can't afford to start slowly. And I think that Hesper have, just probably beaten them out the traps with their speed in the opening stages. TNS need to pass the ball and make life difficult for Swift, but if anything, it's been the opposite.
Yeah, but what we do notice from Swift Hesper is that they are vulnerable at the back. Just a few times where the New Saints have managed to get the ball clear. There are some big pockets of space there for Ryan Brobble to occupy. And here they come again. They've committed a lot of people forward here, the Luxembourg side. And TNS win back possession on the edge of their penalty area. Swift Hesper managed by Carlos Vanguero, who joined from their rivals F91 Dunderlange. And he brought in 3 of his key players from there as well, including Sinani. And New Saints attacking down the far left-hand side. One of the players down injured, and the Swift Hesper player is not leaving anything to chance, and started hacking away at the ball while Chris Marriott was down on the deck, and the referee goes over to have a word there with Couturier, and no yellow card. But in Europe you do see quite a number of officials taking a hard line on things like that, so I think he's a bit lucky, Scott, to have got away without a booking.
Certainly so, and as you say, it was quite a first leg, wasn't it, in hacking from the in terms of the performance of the referee. Very different to what TNS will be used to in the Cymru leagues.
The New Saints playing some nice football and trying to get the fullbacks and those wide players into the game as much as they can. But Swift Hesper again managed to break quickly down the right-hand side. Ayongo looking for his strike partner, Stoltz. They have to go back into the midfield and get support there with Ekafo. And when they're in possession, they almost drop into a wing-back system with Ekafo on the right and Sacras on the left, the Luxembourg international that started his career as a 17-year-old at Metz in France. Now a cross into the back post, and Hesper had 2 players making a late run, and that's what Sacras can do, and that's the main threat from those wide areas in Cedric Sacras and Nego Ekafo. And I'm sure that Craig Harrison would know that a lot of the crosses do come from those 2, and because they are playing such a high line, that we're seeing both in the game very early on.
Yeah, Sacras in particular on that left side, very dangerous, former Luxembourg international, Swift youth player, went off to Metz as a 17-year-old, had B team experience there, re-signed in 2021, and he's got bags of pace. And you mentioned Ekofo as well, the 26-year-old Frenchman on the right side. Well, he had lots of experience in the French 4th tier and in the 3rd tier as well, so lots of experience with those 2. That pair of 26-year-olds on either wing.
8 minutes gone. No goals between the New Saints of Oswestry, the Welsh champions, against Swift Hesper, the champions of Luxembourg. Nick Southall and Scott Harris for you. Live commentary here on BBC Radio Shropshire tonight on 96 FM on DAB. We're also on BBC Sounds as well, so wherever you go, you can get us on the app if you download it to your phone or your tablet. It's a beautiful sunny night here in Shropshire as TNS attack again down the left-hand side. Smith plays it back to the stalwart left fullback, Chris Marriott, And back into Connor Roberts, who's wearing a very sky blue goalkeeping jersey. Now Rory Holden, who's looking to take the opportunity that's presented itself with both Danny Williams and John Routledge out injured. They look to go over the top down the right. There were 2 players in pursuit there, and Jerry Premper had to be on his game to make sure that they didn't get through. But when TNS do go forward, they do look like they can cause some trouble for the Luxembourg side.
Certainly look threatening, don't they, TNS? They just need that opportunity, that opening, but also make sure they keep it tight at the back.
It's quite an open game at the moment, not quite end-to-end, but it does feel like a game where it could get stretched very early on with the way both teams are playing. But there's no way that Swift have come here looking to park the bus and just protect themselves going back to the National Stadium in Luxembourg City next Tuesday night in this UEFA Europa Conference League qualifier. They are very much on the front foot looking to get a goal, as they did against Slovan Bratislava, getting a 1-1 draw there in the Champions League, but losing 2-0 at home, and played very well. Conceded 2 penalties, with Weimann scoring 2 goals for Bratislava. The TNS battling away in their midfield and win the ball. It's played out to Marriott, 40 yards away from goal. A short forward pass down the line, good sliding challenge. But Jordan Williams will get a throw here for the New Saints. Up towards the edge of the Swift penalty area. Away to our right, and still those supporters with the sun. Just starting to go down away to our left, shielding their eyes. New Saints opt to go back to their keeper, Connor Roberts, who's run out of his penalty area to retrieve the ball. And looks for Josh Daniels, who's not wearing that bandage around his head. Picked up a nasty injury at Hacken with a head injury. Had to have some stitches in as well, but it seems that it's all resolved itself. And the New Saints, again, look to build down the left. It's 0-0.
Yeah, Stoltz just went down there, the captain, looking for a foul, and the referee from Belgium just said, get up, get on with it. So I think we've seen a few early signs from the referee that he's going to be quite lenient. We didn't have that in Gothenburg a fortnight ago. Seemed as if the referee was looking for any excuse to blow his whistle, but our Belgian referee, Mr. Vergoot, has been very, very much more lenient on these opening stages.
Yeah, a lot more than the referee with the game against Hacken, who's very strict indeed. I think we refer to him as like that strict headmaster that you probably had back in the school days.
Yeah,
I'm sure you would have been outside the headmaster's office numerous times, Scott.
No, not at all.
Devious side of yours coming out. This referee is almost like a cover teacher who you could run rings around.
Well, I never had a detention. Did you?
No, I didn't. No, but threatened
surprises me
with a detention for on a geography field trip for actually doing my work.
Really? That does surprise me.
I was late getting back to the meeting point, but that's because I was actually doing the work, whereas the rest of the class was skiving off. Got back early, but they didn't do the work. Takes me back to the good old days. Here comes Swift Hesper down the right-hand side, all in red, with that pace of Sinani. He's got Ekafo in behind him as well. And he gets a free kick. It's around the edge of the TNS penalty area, away to our left, and they can send forward their 2 centre-halves who are good in the air. A chance around the TNS box. How did you see that, Scott?
Well, it's a definite foul. TNS just have to remain switched on at these big moments. You know, they need to keep their shape. They need to sniff out any opportunity from this free kick that is level almost with the edge of the penalty area, just a few yards from that far touch line. Well, this could be very threatening, but there's a definite foul.
13 gone, no goals. And the free kick is scuffed, but they gets another chance into the near post, and they've scored. Swift Hesper have taken the lead at the near post, and it's Simon Martins who got the touch. And the Luxembourg champions have taken the lead here after just 14 minutes against the New Saints. The initial free kick, not the best, but the clearance wasn't good enough, and then unfortunately they were given another chance and they've taken it. So the New Saints are 1-0 down.
Martins with the goal, and it was a tap-in almost. It was, very close to the goal line, in the goal area. And as you mentioned there, Nick, it was delivered, the original block from the free kick, and then the delivery low along the floor. And, Connor Roberts just couldn't get his footing right to get down low to block the shot. But Martins was there, and he has put Swift Hesper into the lead. And, this is a big moment in the game.
The silence amongst the home supporters around us. The club owner, Mike Harris, standing watching on the balcony here, chewing away at his fingernails, because he knows that's a big goal already in this tie, as Swift Hesper are looking very good on the ball. This is a team that's been put together. Lots of money has been spent on it. They won their first championship last season, and they have big ambitions to try and get into the group stages. So not as easy as it may have seemed at first sight when we saw the balls being drawn out of the hat at UEFA's headquarters in Switzerland. And we know that certainly TNS are very much up against a strong opposition here.
Well, club football as well, very different to international football. You think of Luxembourg as minnows in UEFA, but in the club system, 42nd out of the 55 nations. And TNS and Wales ranked 50th. So there is a gulf between the two. Not as large as it was in Sweden, of course, but Swift do have that quality. There's a lot of money floating around in that Luxembourg top tier. Lots of players with big experiences from their neighbours in France and Germany. And that's showing at the moment. But it was a well-taken goal from Martins. Ball landed at his feet, really, from that cross low on that right side, and just had to slot it past Connor Roberts, who didn't really have much of a chance.
16 minutes gone. Scott Harris there, our summariser, with me, Nick Southall, here at Parkour for BBC Radio Shropshire. And so the New Saints 1-0 down against Swift Hesper. And the New Saints haven't really got into their stride in an attacking sense, have they, Scott? There have been numerous times where you can see what they're looking to do, try and get some the wide players into the game, but they appear to be going more sideways than forwards at the moment.
It does seem that way. Josh Daniels has probably carved out the only real chance on goal that they've had in this game so far, but that shot was tame and just drilled to the left post of the goalkeeper, who coped with it quite well, got a hand to it. Daniels forcing the corner, but other than that they haven't really had a sniff, and it's all been Hesper in terms of possession, but TNS seem to have the most joy.
A lovely turn by Brobble, and now he plays the ball down the left to Jordan Williams. The defender does well to get back, but just in one move there, Ryan Brobble with some silky skills to chip the ball over the man marking him, and then play Jordan Williams into space. The New Saints finally looking adventurous on the front foot, but they lose it in midfield with Rory Holden. And now on the counter-attack, Pasca's got some work to do. Stoltz has got him behind Astles, who was looking for offside, and in the end manages to head the ball back to his keeper, Connor Roberts. But they're 1-0 down, and Hesper look very threatening when they get the ball inside the TNS half. Here's the veteran striker, Dominic Stoltz, the 33-year-old from Germany, played in their third tier, so somebody with experience of playing within the Bundesliga system. And with the experience of Stoltz up front and Paul Ayongo, they are a strike partnership that has earned some plaudits in the past.
Well, they're not quite in tune at the moment. They're just having a lengthy discussion over that mix-up a few moments ago.
Well, here is Stoltz looking to head the ball in towards Ayongo, who made a run into the box, and they'll get another throw over on this left-hand side. And Craig Harrison just reaching down into the call box to get another bottle of water, the second one that he started. It's like that as a manager, you just keep drinking water, and it's part of your routine. Keep those vocal cords going as you're barking out the instructions. And he won't be particularly happy with how his team have started off here, because it's the visitors who very much dominated proceedings so far and deserved their lead, although Josh Daniels did have an early effort which was deflected for a corner. But apart from that, it's been Swift Hesper who've pretty much dominated possession inside the TNS half. And Marriott does well to cut in field, just to change the angle. There's a foul by Stoltz on Leo Smith, and may take the free kick quickly. Been urged to up the tempo because it has been just a bit pedestrian so far. It's a lovely ball by Holden, travelling 50 yards on the diagonal from right to left, and here's Williams on the far side looking to take on his man Ekafo, but couldn't get past him. And Swift Hesper give it away now. A rare mistake from them in the early stages of this game. 20 minutes gone, but they do lead by 1-0. Manu Saints still have the ball over on the far left-hand side, but then give it away. And that's been the story of this half so far.
Well, the versatility of Ekofo on that right side, dropping back with defensive duties when needed, but also getting forward. And I think it was him who got to that second ball and put in that cross that led to the goal. But here come TNS now.
Well, the Swift Hesper man who's gone down injured in screaming there for a free kick, but the ball was taken, and it's real dramatics right in front of us. No sympathy at all from the home supporters. He's still writhing around in pain here, Cedric Sacras. And the physios come on, but the New Saints will have the ball when game resumes over on the left wing, midway inside the Hesper half. I didn't see a lot in that, it must be said, but 10 out of 10 for trying to get the attention of the referee. Just a bit more about this Swift Hesper team. They're from Hesper is a bit of a clue. They're from Hesperange in the southern part of Luxembourg. It's apparently just a 15-minute drive from the capital, Luxembourg City. And next week's game will be played in the capital at the National Stadium. And Scott, we've been looking at population sizes. Hesperange is slightly smaller in population size than Oswestry, so there are some similarities, aren't there? Luxembourg as well, population slightly bigger than Shropshire.
Yeah, 650,000, and in Shropshire I think it's just over 500,000, isn't it? 500,000. So some similarities there in terms of population size.
Free kick here for TNS into the mixer towards the 6-yard box. Hesper had it clear, but another chance on the edge of the area. Holden tried to pass it through to one of his teammates and didn't have the space to do so, and Hesper get it clear. But the New Saints retrieve the ball and have it in their possession midway through the first half here at Park Hall, as Astles passes the ball out to Chris Marriott on his left. BBC Radio Shropshire following the New Saints in Europe once again this summer. Mary-Kate Wilden presenting the show live here from Park Hall, speaking to the manager Craig Harrison yesterday in the pre-match press conference, saying they've only really been able to watch one game of Swift Hespers, which was against Slovan Bratislava last week, to go off because so much of his team is new. But saying that, with such a new team that's been assembled by their new manager, they seem to be very well drilled.
Seem to have clicked together quite well, considering the manager's been in place for 24 days, and you mentioned earlier they've made 17 signings since the closed season in April, and Hesper seem to be, as you say, well drilled.
They do. Has a decent ball in between the strikers, both Stoltz and Oyongo looking to latch onto that through ball, but it goes through to the TNS keeper Connor Roberts. And have a home team have it on their left. Astles misplaces his pass, looking for Clark. And now pressure at the other end, a mix-up between Pask and Connor Roberts. But to be fair to Pask, he did the right thing in the end. If he wasn't quite sure, he just kept going and kicks the ball into touch, into safety. But he may have collided there with Connor Roberts at the same time. So a stoppage here while Connor Roberts will be seen to by the physio.
It's a clash of knees, it looked from this angle, and as you say, a mix-up between the two. But did the right thing to just usher the ball and clear it. You never know who's going to pounce around you, especially when the ball is rolling at some speed towards that 6-yard box. But it does look as if Connor Roberts has picked up a serious knock here as he receives treatment.
Well, the last thing they want to do is lose Connor Roberts, and it seems like he may have taken a knock to his jaw. It may have been the knee of Pask which caught Connor Roberts there.
Well, he got down low, didn't he? So it was either his knee or his face, and it looks, well, thankfully, that it's probably his face. If you,
in a strange way.
In a strange way, yeah. You
should be all right.
You should be okay.
Yeah.
Well, put it this way, you can play on, can't you, with a blow to the face, as Josh Daniels proved a fortnight ago, but
yeah,
he's okay now.
Well, Swift Hesper lead this tie, this second qualifying round game in the UEFA Europa Conference League. Bit of a mouthful, not quite as simple as the Champions League, but the New Saints were knocked out of that last week by BK Häcken of Sweden. But instead of being eliminated from any European competition, the losers from the Champions League get another chance. And so this is the second qualifying round of the Europa Conference League.
I think they are dropping Europa, Nick, aren't they, from next season to make it a little bit easier on the mouth.
Yeah, and you know, I think the key thing is that it's not quite as difficult as some of the big clubs that they would get in the Champions League to progress to the group stages. Still tough, even as we see here from this Luxembourg side. They are looking very good. Well won header at the near post by Pask as Stoltz caught him with his studs, and a free kick's given for TNS.
In the 26th minute, number 39, Jamie Carvalho.
And there has been a change.
Aldin
Skenderovic has gone off, and that is a surprise. We didn't see any obvious injury for him, the player who played in the Bundesliga 2. So there is a change for the opposition in the heart of their defence as they attack down the right channel. Good challenge by Leo Smith. The ball's into the centre circle. And New Saints having to defend again. Carvalho coming on into the defence for Swift Hesper. Didn't see an obvious injury there, Scott.
No, I didn't at all. Big blow, actually, because Skenderovic coming in. Dudelange just a few weeks ago, one of the additions to this side from the manager. But he's off. He won't take any more part in this game today.
Here's Ryan Brobble, shoots from outside the area but drags it a good 15 yards wide. Poor effort that from Ryan Brobble, in a position which presented itself pretty well. Josh Daniels is looking dangerous when they can get the ball to him, but it's just, unfortunately, the ball seems to be stuck around the defence into the midfield, and it's not being quite converted into the final third where they can get players forward.
Yeah, they can't really seem to get it into what would be the left-back position and Martins' territory, and someone like Josh Daniels will be a real handful, but he just can't get time on the ball. And well, as you said, it was a very insignificant shot in the end, curling away from goal. No trouble for the goalkeeper.
But normally this time of night Active Shropshire would be on, but we have European football for you. 27 minutes gone. The New Saints trail by 1-0 here against Swift Hesper. BBC Radio Shropshire, and this game is also on BBC Sounds for you as well, so several ways to hear our commentary tonight. A big night of European football again for the New Saints. The key thing with this is, though, there is no backup. If they lose overall this tie, they are out of Europe for another year, so they need to find a way back into this game. 1-0 down, and they have a throw towards the corner flag on this near right-hand side. The main stand that we're in here, it's very much like a construction site in front of us. They're building a new stand, so big steel supports, and a new roof has been erected as well, and very much like a building site below us where the new seating will go in. So no fans below us here in the main stand. They're behind the stand where the New Saints were attacking there, but from the throw it goes straight into the keeper's hands. And Hesper now attack down the right. It's a delicate ball down the channel towards Ayongo, who was signed from the Central Coast in Australia. TNS win the ball back though and look for Davies, who gets over the halfway line on the right and wins a free kick as well. There's no real need for Cedric Sacras to have done that. He could easily have just got past Davies, who was wrong-footed, but in the end concedes a free kick. And the New Saints are having more of the ball at the moment. Hesper not quite as strong going forwards as they were. And the New Saints hoping that will result in getting an equaliser very soon.
Probably felt there was a bit of an injustice from the prior challenge about 5 minutes ago, so I think, you know, your elbows come out there.
Jordan Williams with a wayward crossover on that left wing got himself into a good position, and again that quality on the ball isn't there at the moment for the club based in Oswestry but playing in the Cymru Premier. Half an hour gone. Lovely sunny night now. Those cotton wool like clouds have drifted away, just baby blue skies above us. Very mild conditions as well, unlike the rain that we've had in these parts in recent days. As Connor Roberts decides to go route one this time, looking for Ryan Brobble. They do look vulnerable at the back when they can get at them, and Brobble looks for a cross into the near post, and that was more decisive from the New Saints. Josh Daniels was in a good area as well on the edge of the 6-yard box, and Swift Hesper have to head the ball behind. But when they are a bit more on the front foot and more direct, then a few times, in particular Jerry Premper has looked slightly in the wrong position, and he can get a chance.
Yeah, he's just wrong-footed, wasn't he? But it was a super cross in from Brobble on that left side. And well, it needed the head of a red shirt to clear the danger, because Josh Daniels was on the prowl.
Scott Harris and Nick Southall here as the corner's taken short. The referee nearly gets in the way. Then on the turn, the shot was taken on by Williams, I think it was.
It was, yeah.
Yeah, and couldn't keep the shot down, so at the moment hasn't quite got himself into the game. Jordan Williams, who is so good in Gothenburg against BK Häcken, supplied that cross for Dick McManus, their leading scorer last season in the league, with that goal against the Swedish champions.
Yeah, he struck it first time, then it was right on the edge of the D, and he just couldn't keep it down. And perhaps he could have afforded another touch. There was options to his right to have another go at swinging in a dangerous ball. And you mentioned the frailties of Hesper. Well, they haven't conceded many in their domestic league last season, but certainly a little bit sluggish at times tonight, we felt. But TNS just need to move that line very deep at the moment. Need to be playing more football in their opponent's half.
Just has a feel that they've just been a bit too cautious here.
I think they've shown them too much respect, Hesper. I think TNS have shown them far too much respect. They've allowed them far too much of the ball, and the longer it stays 1-0, the more dangerous it is for TNS in this tie, because Hesper will be delighted to come away from here with a 1-0 win. To go back to Luxembourg next Tuesday night with a 1-0 advantage would be, well, that'd be very lucrative for them. TNS have to try and light some kind of spark and get something going before the interval, because the longer it goes on, the more difficult it's going to be, and it could turn into a colossal mountain to climb should the visitors get a second goal.
With 12 minutes to go until half-time, there probably will be some stoppage time added on as well. We've had a couple of injuries during this first half. The referee from Belgium, Jesper Vergoet, hasn't had a lot to do so far, no real big decisions to make. Leo Smith in that midfield turns and has plenty of space. Ball's played into Ryan Brobble. You do hope that playing on an artificial pitch, which they're not used to, will just tire their legs somewhat, as TNS have a chance, and they've absolutely thrown it away. brilliant early ball down the right, and Josh Daniels ghosted into a position where really he had the goal at his mercy, and he strikes it over the bar from very close range, pretty much open goal, and couldn't take it. Still they trail by 1-0.
Well, the ball came in at some speed. It was arrowed in from that right side, and Daniels, well, you say put your laces through it. He's smashed it over the crossbar from close range. He was approaching some speed at the edge of the 6-yard box, and well, the contact was poor. Straight over the crossbar. Here they come again, though.
Well, here is Daniels this time. Can he be the provider? He's attacking down the right as Holden in support. No free kick as Holden went down. There was contact, though. Holden pushed over this time, though. Should be a free kick, but the referee doesn't give it. And surely he wasn't looking to play advantage there, because there was no advantage. Now Clement Couturier, who's played a lot in France, switches the ball out to the right. But now it's Swift Hesper on the attack. But TNS looking more dangerous in this game, but that chance really, we hope, doesn't come back to haunt Josh Daniels.
That was a big moment, should have scored, and in the end it was fired over the crossbar when, frankly, he was expecting the net to be taken off. It came in at a ferocious pace, but just going back to the referee, either the setting's on lenient or he's from the 1970s.
It's not a modern-day European referee who gives anything for the slightest touch. He's let quite a bit go, which actually I don't think the new Saints will mind that much, but they do get a free kick here as Daniels was pushed over, and now they're getting into their stride. It's over on this right wing with the fullback Davies. It crosses into the back post. 3 players waiting for it. Still players in the centre now as they try and recycle the ball back into the box. Good work by Brobble under pressure. Still going Ryan Brobble. Still Ryan Brobble. 2 tackles, and very, very unfortunate to have a free kick given against him. He won the ball each time, and I think the referee's got that completely wrong. But great tenacity, great endeavour there from Ryan Brobble to keep going.
Yeah, excellent from TNS. This is what they need to do. They need to turn the screw before half-time. How long's left? 10 minutes or so, plus stoppages. And Josh Daniels, I think he's still analysing. He's just going over in his head. He's just looking at his footwork as to say, how on earth did I miss an absolute sitter just a few moments ago? And it would have got TNS back level in the tie. That could be proven to be a crucial, costly miss, certainly in the first half. But there's a long way to go. Of course, at full time, it's only half time in the tie. But you don't want to leave yourselves with too much to do away from home.
No, but they are playing better football here. They're looking much more confident and aggressive. And we're hoping that brings about an equaliser very soon here for the new Saints of Oswestry, as Daniels is in the game again on the right. He's getting support with Holden. Both playing a lot closer to each other than they were, but Holden now skies his shot high and wide, and it didn't feel like he needed to take on the shot in that position, but he could have taken it on a bit further towards the edge of the box.
Yeah, had more time, and you just think about decision making, split decisions here. We're talking about fine margins, but just how much space has Josh Daniels got on this right side? That Hesper left back position. You've got Sakras who's coming back to help cover with Martins. The other centre-back's gone off.
Daniels has another chance now, right edge of the box, deflected at Manio post, and may get another corner. Of all the people, Josh Pask, who's playing centre-half today, won the ball midway inside the Swift Hesper half and went on the attack and spotted Daniels in room. And now the Luxembourg champions are dropping deeper and deeper and inviting TNS on.
Well, even though Daniels missed a few moments ago, he's probably the hottest prospect in the TNS side at the moment. I think he's champing at the bit really to get on the score sheet. He certainly looks like he's fired up on this right side. He's getting forward at every opportunity.
1-0 down, in search of an equaliser. Appeals of handball. Yes, free kick right on the edge of the Hesper penalty area. This is in the far right-hand corner of this Park Hall Stadium, where there's a lot of building work going on. This new stand they're building is going to look very impressive.
It's a bit awkward for us, though, at the moment, Nick. Whilst it's been built, the number of obstacles we have is,
but still
phenomenal.
Supports, there's quite a few which are blocking parts of the pitch, so testing us a bit, but we're doing okay at the moment. And this free kick is being taken right where there is a steel obstacle, so we can't see who is taking the free kick. Just about see
Robert or Daniels, I think.
Yeah. Well, Marriott's over there as well, and it would probably suit the left foot of Chris Marriott here. The referee's calling over 2 players as there's too much pushing and shoving going on for his liking. It's Josh Daniels and Couturier who've been called over and told no more of that as we wait for this free kick to be taken here on BBC Radio Shropshire. About 6 minutes plus stoppage time to go of this first half. A good time then to score if they can. Fizz into the back post. Brilliant header, great save. And it wouldn't have stood anyway because the referee has given a free kick for a push. But a great header by Astles, and somehow the keeper, the Frenchman, Depierre, with a brilliant save from point blank range. But it would not have stood anyway because the referee's given a free kick.
Yeah, it was a wishful crack, wasn't it, from the head, and didn't really see any push. I think it was on Simeon Martins, wasn't it, who went down. But fine save from the goalkeeper.
Well, they've had the best chances now, the New Saints. Overall, they've had more chances than Swift Hesper. But that goal, sloppy goal after 17 minutes from the fullback, Simeon Martins, is the difference between the 2 sides here in this first leg of the second qualifying round of the Conference League. But they are looking much better on the front foot. And at least they've woken up now rather than leaving it too late in the second half. They're looking much, much better.
A goal would certainly change the game, and they certainly need to make sure that it's the New Saints who get this second goal.
Offside there against Stoltz. He was lurking offside and then came back into an onside position, but then the defensive line held really well to play the offside trap. So the German offside, and a free kick inside the Saints box. Roberts passes it square to the left full-back Marriott. Dropped it back to his keeper. They're not frightened of doing this, TNS. They like to play the ball from the back, very comfortable in doing so, which invites the opposition on, and then they just pick that moment to catch them by sliding the ball through the midfield. Swift Hesper, though, with a throw high down their right-hand side, taken by Ekafo. Here he is again, from Ghana, into the midfield with Charles Moren, who played for Royal Union in the Belgium top tier. Had quite a number of seasons playing in the top tier of Belgium against the likes of Club Brugge and Royal Antwerp, Anderlecht. So this is a good team that they're up against, TNS, as Astles plays a sweeping ball out to the left, and they've kept it in play. It's good work on the far side with Marriott next to the corner flag, under pressure. Can he get the corner? And the ball actually has stayed in play, didn't cross the dead ball line, and Swift Hesper still can't get it properly clear. Holden heads it towards the penalty area. Drops for Ryan Brobble. Holden leaves it for Davies, who slices his shot again. And in that area, 25 yards away from goal, they've had a number of chances, but haven't even hit the target.
Yeah, poor shooting, wrong choice. He went for there, went for goal, and it's always going to take something special to beat the goalkeeper from that range, with the ball fizzing across to that right corner of the penalty area. And, well, it was a snapshot in the end that went nowhere near the goal.
It's been poor, really. I mean, some of the shots they've taken on have been poor.
Yeah, it's not been good. And TNS are going to have to be a little bit sharper in the second half. They will be disappointed to be behind in this game. I think Craig Harrison will be stressing the point of being first to any second balls, because, frankly, what turned into a goal really perhaps shouldn't.
Yeah, wasted some good chances, TNS. Should be 1-1 in this game had Josh Daniels converted his after 34 minutes. But they're playing well now, and hopefully it is a sign of things to come in the second half as we approach half-time here at Park Hall. A lovely summer's night in Oswestry. We're live on BBC Radio Shropshire. football season proper getting underway in a couple of weeks' time. As TNS attack again down the right, but it's a wayward pass and it goes out for a goal kick to Swift Hesper. A frustrating first half for the home team after going behind after 17 minutes through Martin's goal. We'll bring you up to date with the other scores in the second qualifying round of this competition very shortly. It's certainly an evening where there is a lot of Champions League football taking place tonight as well. Elsewhere, you can see that there are some interesting score lines coming in. In the early kick-off, Partizani are 1-0 ahead of Atletico Escaldes from Andorra. In some of the other games, Lana have just kicked off against Balkani from Kosovo. Trepene are playing Valmiera from Latvia. So those are some of the other games in this competition which are taking place tonight. In the Champions League, Helsinki lead 1-0 against Molde of Norway. Zalgiris from Lithuania are 1-1 with Galatasaray, the Turkey champions. And Dinamo Zagreb is 0-0 with Astana from Kazakhstan at half-time. 0-0 there in the Croatian city of Zagreb. TNS 1-0 down here as we are into added-on time now, and Craig Harrison just wants to make sure that his team do not concede a second goal just before half-time. They may just have a bit of time here to catch Swift on the counter-attack, but Brobble gives it away, and now it crosses in towards Ayongo. Goes down too easily, looking for a free kick, won't get it. Lucky probably not to get away for simulation there with a card though. And now Daniels, who's had a lot of joy down the right in terms of finding space. The end product not quite there for him at the moment though. And this time he's beaten to the ball as Swift overturn it and now find themselves in plenty of room in the heart of the midfield. Good tackle by Marius, gives it to Clark, and now Jordan Williams tries to split away from his man, but defender can't dive in there, and Williams waits for the cavalry to arrive. He's got two men in the centre, still going Williams, and does the right thing in that position, gets a corner. Good work by Jordan Williams as time runs out before the end of this first half. They get a corner and an opportunity. Yeah, skillful football from Williams. Just held up the ball over on that far side level with the edge of the penalty area, waited for support. They didn't really arrive in good numbers, but they did in the end. But well, he achieved his objective of winning a corner, and this probably going to be the last big moment of this first half. Corner then into the near post, headed on and doesn't find the top corner. It is from Daniels at the near post, then loops behind for a goal kick, and that will probably be the final action of the first half, with the New Saints going in to the interval 1-0 down due to that Simao Martins goal. But they played much better in the final 15 minutes of this first half. It took them too long really to get going in this tie, but there is only a 1-goal deficit at the moment. But that may be about to change, because Swift Hesper are attacking again. Here's Stoltz on the left edge, goes for goal, strikes it against Astles, who brought his arms next to his chest. So no penalty given, as it did strike him on the forearm. Swift again though, played the ball out to their right. There's very little between these two clubs. On their defensive line, with Martins, the goal scorer, into Premp. And now the referee blows the half-time whistle. And a muted response from the home supporters as they watch their team going in at half-time. 1-0 down here against Swift Hesper. That goal coming after 17 minutes. It came from a bad bit of defending, really. Swift were given a free kick on the edge of the TNS box. The free kick was pretty woeful, but the clearance was equally as bad, and they gave them another chance to swing the ball in. And there was Martins to latch onto it at the near post at the second time of asking. The New Saints really should be 1-1 in this game. 34 minutes had gone. Lovely ball whipped in from the right wing. Josh Daniels left them completely for dead. Nobody around him to pick him up 8 yards away from goal. The goal really there, an open goal for him, and he blasted over in such a good position, and he'll be ruining that, and TNS hoping that they won't be ruining that overall when this tie comes to a close in Luxembourg City next Tuesday night. Our summariser, Scott Harris here. Scott, what have you made of that recovery from the New Saints, and what do you think going into a second half?
Well, it certainly got better. It was a slow start, and Swift certainly had lots of possession in the opening stages. They got themselves in front. I think Craig Harrison will be absolutely furious in the way that Swift were able to take the lead. They, didn't get to the second ball. The ball came in low on the ground. Connor Roberts just wasn't able to get anywhere near it, and it was Martins who flicked it into the corner of the net. Nothing really that the goalkeeper could have done, but TNS needed to be more alert, more awake from the set play. But you mentioned at the other end, the big talking point, Josh Daniels' miss. He skied the ball over the crossbar. It was a high-powered cross in from that side, and Daniels, well, you'd have put your mortgage on it that the net was going to burst, but it didn't, and it stays 1-0.
It didn't, Mary-Kate Wilden, but there are some real positive signs from this TNS team. I thought they looked very good in the final 15 minutes of that first half, and they do look like they can score. They've had quite a number of openings from about 25 yards away from goal where they've been probably a bit too eager to take the shots on, where they could have done more with it by getting some more yardage into the penalty area. But they haven't got their shooting boots on at the moment. No Dec McManus as well. He's on the bench, but unlikely to feature. They need to find a goal scorer in the second half. At half-time, they're 1-0 down.
They do indeed. Well, we'll see if they get their shooting boots on at half-time. That's half-time here at Park Hall. It's TNS 0, Swift Hesper 1. We'll be back with your commentary team very shortly. Well, welcome back here on BBC Radio Shropshire, bringing you commentary of tonight's UEFA Conference League second qualifying round game between TNS and Swift Hesper. It's half-time here, and it's the away team that lead 1-0. But Scott Harris, it could have been completely different there if they'd taken that chance.
Well, 1-1's obviously better than trailing 1-0, and Daniels will be just replaying that over and over again in his head. He's almost got to forget about it because it's gone. He does seem to have woken up a little bit since that miss. I think he wants to try and make amends for it. But I'm just not sure how he blazed it over the bar from close range. I mean, from this angle, very difficult, but I swear he was touching the line, the paint of the goal area as it came. A tremendous speed from that left side, got his right foot to it, but it's just one of those, if you catch it wrong, it is going to sky over the stand, and well, he managed to do that. And well, they've got to move on. They've got to be able to find a way back into this game. That's the key. They need to make sure that they don't concede any more goals, because if they don't score tonight and they concede in the second half, it's going to leave them with perhaps a little bit too much to do going into that second leg. TNS are capable of creating lots, and I feel in that first half we didn't really see anywhere near the immense firepower that perhaps they have. Obviously the likes of Declan McManus not featuring a big blow to them, but you know, they've got players on the pitch here who, as I say, are very, very capable players, and they can turn this tie around, but they need to get the next goal.
We didn't know what to expect from Swift Hesper, and they came out absolutely fine. It's the last thing TNS wanted was to go behind early again, just like they did last week in the Champions League, and it happened again inside 15 minutes.
Yeah, and that's what's disappointing, isn't it? TNS was very pedestrian, I thought, in the opening 10 minutes. They didn't get their foot on the ball for the opening 3, and straight from the kick-off, Hesper created opportunities, and it's very difficult to get yourselves back flying at speed from a standing start, isn't it? So from this, as we restart in the second half, they've got to really take this game now to Hesper, who will perhaps have tired legs as they progress into the second half. And you know, you look at some of the bench players for TNS, you know, Sislovic is on the bench. I'm just looking at other options in terms of going forward. You've got Adam Roscoe as well, perhaps, but Yeah, it's you look at it. I don't think we're going to see Declan McManus. I think it'll be a miracle. He's listed on the bench, but I can't see him being fit enough to feature. Never mind having any kind of impact. For me, I think it's got to be Josh Daniels. I think if they can get him further forward, certainly he's been left unmarked at times on that right side. He's been the real danger man. But he needs to find his shooting boots in that second half.
Absolutely. Plenty of chances for TNS in the first half, but they haven't been able to take any of them. We'll be back with the commentary team of Scott Harris and Nick Southall very shortly. It's half-time here at Park Hall with TNS trailing 1-0 to Swift Hesper in the second qualifying round of the UEFA Conference League. We'll be back with the second half very shortly. Elsewhere, we've got a couple of local sides as well in pre-season action tonight. Telford are playing Tamworth and they are currently trailing 1-0. That game kicked off at 1:45. And Shrewsbury Town, they're also in pre-season action tonight. They're away at Stourbridge. They led through new signing Ethan Thorpe, but they now draw 1-0 with Stourbridge. That game kicked off at 7:30. That's a pre-season game before their season starts on the 5th of August. Say it's half-time here against Swift Hesper for TNS. Nick Southall is your commentator tonight. Nick, what do TNS need to do in the second half?
Well, they've got to really take the handbrake off and look to attack. Even at the risk of conceding another goal, I think that they've just got to find a way of scoring in this first leg and stop showing Swift Hesper so much respect, really. I think it just felt like in those opening stages that they were inviting on Swift Hesper, probably went into the game realising that they are a decent team. You know, when you see you're drawn against the Luxembourg champions, you think, oh, we're going through here. They're real minnows. Well, these aren't. This is a very unusual team that's been put together with lots of money, and they have big ambitions. So I think they were under, no real kind of illusion that this would be a tough game for them, and I think really they've just got to make sure that they don't show the same amount of respect in the second half.
Well, the referee's whistle's just gone for the players to come back out. Can just see them making their way back, and the players are making their way over to the bench. So we'll be back with the second half commentary with Scott Harris and Nick Southall.
BBC Radio Shropshire Sports.
Welcome back. The second half about to get underway very shortly. That bright sunshine is just starting to fade now as it starts to head down. So those supporters behind the goal away to our right, not shielding their eyes as they were in the first half. They have a long way to look, though, hoping to see a goal as the New Saints are defending the goal where they are at, and so they are attacking from our right to left in this second half in their green and white hoop tops, white shorts and white socks, and Swift Hesper all in red, the Luxembourg champions, and TNS 1-0 down at half-time as we get the second half underway. This UEFA Europa Conference League qualifier in the second qualifying round between these two nations. And the New Saints have an early free kick midway inside their half on the right wing. Doesn't appear to be any changes from the New Saints at half-time, so they have Connor Roberts in goal. A defence of Davies on the right, Marius on the left, Astles and Pask in the centre of defence. Three in midfield, Clark and Smith either side of Holden. And then up front, Brobble, the main striker down the centre, Daniels to his right and Williams on his left. And Daniels had that gilt-edged chance after 34 minutes to have equalised in this game, but missed an open goal. So it's with Pask on the halfway line as he links up with Ryan Astles. And that goal coming after 17 minutes for Simon Martins. Here's Daniels, who's switched from right to left in the opening stages of this second half and crosses well. Looked for the run of Jordan Williams, so they've both switched wings for the start of this second half, and they get a corner.
And they've swapped sides, haven't they? And an early chance for TNS to get themselves back into this tie. It's not quite go out there and save your season. There's still a lot of football to be played in this tie, but hopefully some harsh words.
Marriott's corner into the near post. Daniels heads it over and took up a position at the near post there, looking to guide it towards the far corner, but it goes over. So a goal kick here for Swift Hesper. Their team is De Peer in goal. They have in the heart of their defence Carvalho and Premper and Martins. Then the wing backs of Ekafo and Sacras. In midfield, Charles Moran, Courtier and Sinani, and the front two, Stoltz and Ayongo. They were forced into a change with Aldin Skenderovic going off in the first half. So a change in the heart of their defence.
I think if TNS just, used that age-old advice of playing their game and not being fazed by the occasion, I think in the first half they were perhaps a little bit guilty of that. I think Craig Harrison needs to use, at half-time needed to use a bit of psychology with his players. Think back to playing the Keffin Druids on a Friday night, to have this opportunity, don't waste it.
2 minutes gone of this second half, 1-0 down then. What can Craig Harrison's team do? I'm sure they would have been told, take the handbrake off, go out of safety mode and take the game to Swift Hesper. Here's Ryan Astles, sporting a bright pair of orange boots. Back to his keeper, Connor Roberts, who hasn't had a lot to do really, apart from the goal. It's been TNS with the better chances and squandered chances from further away from goal, from those areas around the box where they weren't under too much pressure to have taken the shot on, but did. Yeah, wasteful. And you look at the opportunities that Swift have had from long range, any pot shots, and there haven't really been any. So can't see that there's been much in the way of danger for Connor Roberts, but yet TNS find themselves behind in the tie. So shrewd management, and I'd like to think that if Daniels now paired up with Akofo, you feel that will be quite some contest that we'll need to keep an eye on this near side. Yes, it would. Here's Chris Marius on this left wing, back to Astles. Connor Roberts just shielding his eyes there. Very bright as he looks to it. Away to our left is Astles again, on the edge of his own penalty area. And it's a good ball out by him towards Davies. And they get a throw. I felt like the Hesper man had put it out deliberately, because there is a foul for one of the TNS players who's down injured. I wonder if it's Ben Clark who got a knock there as a process of elimination. We will soon find out. Rory Holden, I think it is. I think it's Holden. Went down. Just called slightly late. It wasn't an obvious free kick, but TNS will get a throw. And there is some movement on the bench just in case that they need to make a change. It's been a bit of a poisoned position, that one, in the centre of midfield, with John Routledge being injured here against Hacken last week, and Danny Williams as well getting injured. But Rory Holden back up on his feet, hobbling off to the sideline, should be okay to continue, which is good news for TNS as they go in search of an equaliser here. We're providing full match coverage on BBC Radio Shropshire of the New Saints adventure in Europe once again this summer. We'll be there in Luxembourg City next week to bring you the second leg, the away leg. And the New Saints will be hoping to go there at least on an equal footing, but they are 1-0 down here at the moment. But a long way to go in this tie. Here's Ayongo, misplaced pass by him. Now Marius wins it back, and there's room on this left-hand side up towards the halfway line as Daniels flicks it on early towards Ryan Brobble. Here he is against Jerry Premper. Back to Marius again, who's having a very good game. To Astles, looking far more composed on the ball than they did in the opening 20 minutes of this game. Now Pask. And they're switching it from left to right, making Swift Hesper work hard. Out of possession. Roberts with an ambitious ball there to Marriott, and it's won back by Ekafo, and an opportunity for Swift Hesper in towards Ayongo, and a good challenge by Pask, and the offside flag went up, but that was dangerous for Craig Harrison's team.
It was good play, wasn't it, from Ayongo? fresh from his flight from down under to join up with Swift.
At the other end, here comes Josh Daniels up against Premper. Has Jordan Williams in behind him. Swift overturn it though with Charles Morin, the Belgian, into the midfield. Good ball by David Sinani. Won back by TNS again though. Diagonal ball towards the edge of the Swift penalty area. Here come TNS on this left hand side with Marriott. And he has Josh Daniels in front of him. Moran wins it back again though, and on the overlap here comes Swift Hesper. This game is just starting to get stretched now. Here comes the German. Stoltz down the centre. He's got players on the left, but the offside flag goes up and the shot was over anyway. But twice now in quick succession that Swift Hesper, managed by Carlos Fenguero, have been caught offside. Fenguero having a couple of spells in English football with Millwall and Walsall. They've had 7 managers in 3 years, Swift Hesper. It shows you the transformation that's been happening since their new owners came in 3 years ago.
Yeah, very stop-start in terms of...
Quite ruthless.
Yeah, I guess that they'd have to be with the objectives that they have, but they certainly mean business. They can certainly overstretch TNS and have that pace on this pitch. They haven't played on an artificial pitch before, but they don't seem to be having any problems with that. Maybe being caught napping offside perhaps is just that extra yard.
You hope that it may tire them out a bit more if they're not used to a harder surface than grass.
Yeah, I mean, we're not entirely sure of their fitness either, are we? So we'll see with 15 minutes to go. TNS will have to be, at the races. They'll have to be supercharged going into the last 15 minutes to try and get an equaliser if the score remains the same. They've got to take their game to the opponents. I think Daniels certainly has the fitness and the pace to cause problems.
Well, 52 minutes gone in this game, and TNS trail by just about 1-0. Should have been 1-1 though. Josh Daniels, the former Shrewsbury man, having an opportunity with an open goal, which he missed after 34 minutes. And the 6'4" giant of a goalkeeper, De Peer, seems to have been slain here. He's just lying on his back. There's no contact, but I think we're starting to see a bit of gamesmanship coming in, and the referee has none of it, tells him to get back up onto his feet. The club legend David Figg, who's known in footballing parts as Stato, doing the role of PA announcer tonight very well. Very large personality around these parts at the club, very well liked.
He's very good pre-match in making it crystal clear that pyrotechnics are allowed, which I enjoyed.
Not allowed. You didn't say allowed. I thought you said allowed. No, not allowed.
Definitely not allowed.
You weren't listening closely, were you?
And did a very good job at that.
Yeah, great servant for the New Saints is David Figg. Here comes Swift Hesper. It's a good ball in towards Stoltz. Stoltz still going. Contact. Penalty. Yeah, there was contact, and he was just the skill bearer of Stoltz. It was a lovely through ball, and it was a dangerous moment for New Saints, because really the first turn by Stoltz was so good that it took the defenders out of it, and the only way they could stop him from having a shot was to foul him. And so Swift Hesper have a chance to make it 2 from the penalty spot away to our right.
Yeah, Stoltz using both of his feet and using his head as well to win his side of penalty. There was definite contact there. And this is a big moment in this tie, because if Swift can extend their lead, double their advantage, well, it certainly is becoming a mountain to climb for TNS. So they go to Luxembourg next week.
It will be the German Stoltz to take this then. Connor Roberts just jumping up and down on his line. The referee tells the players around the edge of the area not to move before he blows that whistle and the penalty's taken. Here is Dominique Stoltz, the 33-year-old. Played most of his career in the third tier of German football. Shoots and saved! Brilliant Excellent save by Connor Roberts. Low down to his right-hand side. And just as he did in Sweden, with a man-of-the-match performance, that could be a crucial save here again. He's such a good goalkeeper, Connor Roberts. And the New Saints stay at 1-0 down in this game, but it could have been so much different.
Yeah, he got down low, the goalkeeper, Roberts, to his right very quickly. It was a poor penalty, really, in some regards from Stoltz, because you just thought he was going to hammer it down the middle. It's like as if he changed his mind at the last moment, decided to roll it past the goalkeeper as he thought, but Roberts was more than equal to it. And there was a fist pump from Roberts after he made that save, because he has just kept TNS in this tie. It remains 1-0.
Well, we've had 11 minutes of this second half, and the New Saints are going to be making a double change. There is a change here as well for Swift Hesper. So Paul Ayongo goes off, and we're just waiting to find out who has come on in his place. It looks like Alui has come on. And for the New Saints, be quick here to they make these changes very quickly.
Kelly Williams has come on, the number 14.
Yeah, Williams has come on.
And Declan McManus, I believe.
Well, Valley's interesting. Dec McManus has come on as well. So could it have been a bit of kidology from the manager, saying that Dec McManus was injured? Maybe the injury isn't quite as bad as it was. So Williams and McManus on. Brobble has gone off, and it looks like Holden has gone off as well, although we'll get confirmation of that in a second.
Yeah, he did pick up that knock, didn't he, Holden? So I won't be too surprised.
It's Clark who's gone off. Holden is still on. Made all three changes at the same time, which didn't help, but we're up to speed now. But the main headlines is that Dec McManus has come on. They kept that hidden, haven't they, Scott, with this amount of time left to go?
Sneaky, but good timing after you've just saved the penalty to avoid going 2-0 down in the tie. If they can get Dec McManus into this game and at least finish level at 1-1, that would be something.
Well, these are such big occasions in Europe. To be in this level of competition in Europe is such a great thing for these TNS players. It's the 23rd year that they've qualified for a European competition, albeit eliminated from the Champions League last week, but in with a final chance in this UEFA Europa Conference League qualifier. Some big clubs in this competition as well that they could be coming up against in future rounds, but they've got to get past Swift Hesper first. That save from Connor Roberts could go a long way to doing that and just change the momentum of this tie as they look to go on the front foot with Dec McManus coming on. So can he score as he did against BK Häcken in Gothenburg a couple of weeks ago? Here's Josh Daniels, and it's TNS on the attack here on BBC Radio Shropshire, and it's been another dramatic night here in Oswestry, and still plenty of time to go in this game. Telford and Shrewsbury playing pre-season friendlies this evening. We'll bring you up to date with the scores after this game here with Mary Kate Wilden, and you can have your say on tonight's football as well with Mary Kate on 81333 and start your text with the word Shrop. The New Saints attacking down the right, free kick there against them just inside the Hesper half. So they have some defending to do, but what a save it was from Connor Roberts, and Stoltz went for accuracy, didn't hit it hard enough though.
Well, it was on target, but Connor Roberts was equal to it, got down low to his right very quickly, and you just felt that Stoltz might have just been tempted to just thrash it down the middle. Most strikers tend to. You know, the harder you hit the ball, the more likely you are to score the penalty. But it was tame. Connor Roberts read it well, got down to his right, and it was a wonderful penalty save. And it's kept TNS alive in this tie.
Connor Roberts, the hero between the sticks with that penalty save. Ironically, Swift Hesper conceded 2 penalties against Slovan Bratislava last week to go out of the Champions League after the first leg ended at 1-1 in Slovakia. So they're not having much joy when it comes to penalties at the moment. Offside against the New Saints. Free kick for the visitors. Luxembourg will be there next week, Scott. It's somewhere I've never been to before. It's a fascinating place to go to.
Yeah, it is. Read a lot about it, and looking forward to going next week.
We're hoping to see not a 2-goal lead here for Hesper as Stoltz hits the post, and then a clearance off the line from Ryan Astles. Well, they should be 2-0 up here. It's Stoltz who got himself into a very favourable position, and his effort striking the post. So he's had a nightmare second half at the moment, and then the return shot from outside the area cleared off the line by Ryan Astles. They are riding their luck here, Craig Harrison's team. 1-0 down in this tie. Still the ball inside the penalty area. It'll be a goal kick and a chance just to reset.
Well, Stoltz was moving sideways, wasn't he, as the ball came to him, struck it late and it went off the post. If he'd have just been an inch to his left, it probably would have hit the target and scored. But, well, how on earth did Ryan Astles get back? He scrambled back to the goal line, slid along it, right along the paint of the goal line, and he has denied them, doubling their lead.
It's a very open game. It's stretched. The TNS need an equaliser, though. It's over on the right, and Davies struggling to get past his man there. Hesper have it in their midfield with Moren and Sinani linking up. Good interception by Ryan Astles in defence, though. And that's a late challenge by Clement Courtois, the Frenchman, and he gets shown a yellow card. It was a bad challenge, actually. He just raked his studs down the ankle there of the TNS man coming back from injury. And a free kick midway inside the home team's half.
Yeah, Courtois and Stoltz linking up quite nicely, carving open the TNS back line in a few moments in this second half. That will be a danger. And they're not having much joy on either of the wings in this second half, but going straight down the middle is what they've been doing. TNS need to just be aware of that, but it's not enough, Nick. They need to try and find a goal themselves to get back into this. As we keep saying, going to Luxembourg next Tuesday, 1-0 down. It's not game over, but it's certainly going to be very difficult.
Under half an hour to go. Scott Harrison, Nick Southall here, and Mary-Kate Wielden for you with BBC Radio Shropshire. Another European adventure for the New Saints. We wish them well in the Cymru Premier as well, which gets underway in a couple of weeks' time to try and retain their title. Broke records again last year. Such a good head coach is Craig Harrison. But he wants to keep this European adventure going by beating this side from Luxembourg. It is a very evenly matched tie. The winners, well, would go on to play either Struga from North Macedonia or Podgorica from Montenegro. And if they played Struga, that would probably be in the National Stadium in Skopje, where the New Saints went and played against Skendia and lost 5-0. Here's Astles heading the ball into the penalty area. Strikes the head of Davies. And it comes out towards the halfway line as they have to build up again from the back here, the New Saints. But that was a chance, Scott Harris.
Yeah, Davies just saw it late and just couldn't get his head in the right position. Bounced off the back of his head. Chance goes a-begging, and that was another wasted opportunity. You've got to pounce on every one you get. You're not going to get many in European football. Josh Daniels had that chance in the first half, and well, you just feel that was a half chance just then.
They break with Sakras, the left wing back, into the penalty area, driving forwards, and gets a corner. And that was dangerous because he was really racing into the box there, and as a defender, you know you can't dive in. You have to make sure that you don't commit a foul. They've already had one penalty, but they did well. And it will be a corner now for Swift Hesper, who in this second half have missed a penalty. Great save by Connor Roberts. And then Stoltz, whose penalty was saved, hit the post as well. And then another shot cleared off the line by Ryan Astles. So TNS 1-0 down in this tie at the moment. but they had a brilliant chance themselves in that first half, which they didn't take through Josh Daniels. So it's been an entertaining game. Corner's taken. Astles wins his header on the edge of the 6-yard box and goes out for a throw to the visitors.
It's living dangerously at the moment, TNS, and I'm sure Carlos Fanguero, the Swift Hesper manager, will be left ruining those missed opportunities. You mentioned the one off the line from Ryan Astles at clearance. Not quite sure how he got there, but he did. Stopped a certain goal, and that was after Stoltz had hit the post. Probably should have scored, and should have scored the penalty, so they could have had a hatful here, aside from Luxembourg.
Well, 21 minutes of this second half gone. Referee gets in the way there of Williams, and then a shot of a near post. Well saved by Roberts. May have just been creeping into the corner, and he can take no chances there, and he goes behind for a corner.
Certainly looks as if it was going to strike the post, and you're never quite sure where it's going to bounce off, so always better to get your hand to it. But Connor Roberts very good at getting down low early, got down to his left this time and tipped the ball around the net for a corner.
So a triple change on the way for Swift Hesper. Sinani's going off. He'll be replaced by Carrera. And then the other change will be Cedric Sacras. So the left wing back is going off. And also making way tonight is Charles Morin. And he'll be replaced, I think, by Marquez. But let's just wait for confirmation of those changes. But yeah, 3 changes made, which is unusual when you're 1-0 up.
Well, wholesale changes in that midfield. I think it might have been Dankson Anoff who's come on, the number 22.
Yeah, he usually starts the game as well, Anoff, so he has come on. And the other change was Olivier Marquez. So the ball's in. Astles wins his header. Good towering header that, and gets the ball out towards the wing here. Here is Blanks and Anoff. Very exciting footballer into the box. He's got real pace, and that's probably why they've made those attacking changes, Scott. He got pace of somebody like Anoff, and he can be very dangerous in this kind of situation.
Yeah, he's signed from Clermont in the French top tier, the 22-year-old Ghanaian. He moved to Europe in 2019 from the Ivory Coast with Abidjan.
Corner, deep ball headed downwards, but taken by Connor Roberts. New Saints weren't quick enough there to get their attack going and allow Hesper to get back into position, but they do find Josh Daniels on this left wing, looking to take on 2 defenders on this near side. Still 1-0 down, the New Saints, with this home advantage. They'll be heading to the Luxembourg capital, aptly named Luxembourg City, next week, of that landlocked country. But they've got a good team here. It's a big test for TNS to progress in Europe. Good move by Leo Smith. Glides past 2. Has Marriott up level with him. Daniels now towards the corner flag. Is he brought down by the defender? No, says the referee. And they lose the throw-in as well. Craig Harrison will have to calculate what to do. He's made a couple of changes himself. Will there be any more, Scott? What would you do?
Well, it's difficult to sum up, isn't it, really? What do you do when you're just 1-0 down? But it looks as if Swift have got a little bit of pace now in midfield. That's going to cause them problems.
Yeah, real problems for them. They've brought on a couple of very good players, and TNS will not want to concede a second goal. Yellow card for Pask, a free kick for the visitors then. Alioli coming on, he looks very sharp as well, so they do have some real pace in those areas. Would you say it's fair to say that Swift have been the better team?
I think they have, undoubtedly, certainly in the second half. A missed penalty, they've hit the post, they've had a shot cleared off the line, in theory, they should, on average, have at least doubled their lead, but they haven't. TNS still very much in the tie, but they need to find a goal. I think one apiece would be a real let-off, I think, for TNS. They probably don't deserve to be in the lead. They haven't created enough chances, but they probably on face value maybe deserve to be level.
Well, 20 minutes to go here for the New Saints. Live on BBC Radio Shropshire. Nick Southall and Scott Harris. Mary-Kate Wilden as well. With you for the verdict. You can text Mary-Kate on 81333. Start your text with the word Shrop. What have you made of the New Saints in Europe so far this summer, and what do they need to make that next step? They've been here so many times before. The nearly men in Europe. How do they finally get over the line and make it through to the group stages? 81333. Start your text with the word Shrop. Lovely crossfield ball to Chris Marriott on this left-hand side. And Jordan Williams looking for the run of Marriott for a 1-2. And they'll get a throw instead. They'd be really, really loving it if they can get an equaliser and go to Luxembourg next week level in this tie. Because it just doesn't seem a lot between these two at all. Throws into the near post. Well, that keeper, 6'4", comes launching in and punches it clear. He even made contact with the ball, or he's going to punch the back of the head of Ryan Astles there. But it will be another throw next to the corner flag. As TNS look to knock on the door here to get a goal back on this left-hand side. Group of photographers waiting to try and get a snap of the goal going in. Ball is cleared, but it's back to Holden. Shoots! Scores! Holden scores! Left-footed drive! And it's into the bottom corner. Brilliant shot from Rory Holden. And finally, they've got their shooting boots on. And now this tie looks very different in this UEFA Europa Conference League qualifier. It's TNS 1, Swift Hesper 1.
Well, that was a real clout from outside the penalty area, and it's gone straight into the back of the net, courtesy of some assistance from the goalkeeper who got something on it, but not enough. It's hit the back of the net, and TNS find themselves back on terms, and boy do they need it. I just feel now that they've got to try and, well, have another punch here to try and get their noses in front, because if they were to take a lead to Luxembourg next Tuesday, it'd be quite unbelievable.
Well, it would, and a very different feel to this tie now, and what a strike it was. Such a clean strike by Holden.
Yeah, it was an absolute wallop, wasn't it? And he had a good punch. We mentioned a few moments ago about TNS just needing to up the tempo, just take the game to their opponents. They've done that, they're back on terms, and now they've got to really push on for the final closing stages of the game, and we'll just try and catch this wave and ride it.
Well, who knows what's going to happen in the next 16 minutes. The New Saints getting back level in this European tie. But it's Swift Hesper on the attack. Good challenge by Williams. We're now out to Josh Daniels on the right-hand side, up towards Deck McManus, and he's got that strength to hold the defenders off. Then turns, and he's caught. Now he's on a yellow card, the Hesper man, but he's not going to be sent off. The referee quickly waves away any appeals from Jordan Williams and Leo Smith. Seems to want to have more of an argument with Jordan Williams than pulling up Clement Courtier, but I thought that was well worth an appeal for a second yellow card.
I just can't believe it. The setting is on lenient for the referee. The amount that he's let go is, well, just can't fathom it. It was a card all day long.
TNS make a change. The goal scorer is going off Rory Holden. A change into that midfield. We'll wait for confirmation. I think it's Ashley Baker that's come on. Don't leave that board up long enough. If you look away and it's gone.
Substitution for the New Saints on 76.
Throw in for the New Saints.
Ash Baker has come on to
Ash Baker comes on.
Rory Holden.
The youngster. going to be a throw for TNS about 10 yards into the Hesper half.
Of course, Ash Baker, former Wales under-21, so European experience at that stage of his career. That will serve him well, and experience in the Football League as well. Cardiff youth player, spells at Sheffield Wednesday, Newport County.
It's a wonderful strike from Rory Holden, such a clean strike for the ball was going at a very difficult height for the goalkeeper and right into the bottom corner. So it's 1-1 here on BBC Radio Shropshire. Here come TNS on the attack again. Here's Baker hugging that right wing. Good cross, looking for the run of Jordan Williams. McManus and Smith waiting on the edge of the D. Could they be punished on the counter-attack mode? No, but striker forgets to take the ball with him. And now challenges flying in from both teams as it gets desperate towards the end of this game. It's 1-1. Here's Scott Harris.
Yeah, it's just hotting up now, isn't it? On level terms, 1 apiece. Moments to go in the tie, and it's pivotal because both sides look capable of taking the lead, and it would be a crucial advantage going into that second leg. You just think that TNS might be a little bit fitter, a little bit sharper going into the closing stages, and well, we will have to wait and see. Is this going to end 1-1, or is someone going to have an advantage next Tuesday?
Well, they have a man receiving some treatment at Hesper, but they do have the free kick on the halfway line, so down to 10 men at the moment is their defender, Premp, out to that left-hand side. Good turn by Anoff into the midfield. It's a loose pass straight to Ryan Astles. Now Jordan Williams, had he turned there, he would have probably got himself between two players, but he played it back to the fullback and plays a neat ball infield towards Smith. Just slightly past him though, as Smith had his back to Jordan Williams. But there is space, and you wouldn't rule out another goal here at Parkour, as it's all square.
Got to overstretch Swift, haven't you, now in these closing stages? Chance here for pass.
There is. Here come TNS now with Daniels on the right. McManus waiting in the centre, but defender cuts it out and they get a corner with 13 minutes to go. TNS once again knocking on the door to try and take the lead for the first time in this UEFA Europa Conference League qualifier. Yeah, can't wait for them to change the name of this competition.
Wasn't the best ball in, was it, from Daniels, but I think he'll have been pleased to see it go out for a corner.
Yeah, Marriott then, the stalwart, flicks it into the near post. Astle's beaten to it. Smith commits a free kick. Yeah, he did bring down the Swift player on the edge of the penalty area.
Thing is, though, Nick, you kind of feel that the referee's just going to let everything go at the moment. It's that sort of dogfight, which is good to see in some ways, but
the other positive news for TNS is that Deck McManus has been on the pitch for about 10 minutes now and doesn't appear to be showing any signs of that problem that he's had that's ruled him out of injured.
Well, in the first leg at Hacken, we thought in that second half, as soon as they restarted that second half, he looked in trouble, and it's good to see him back on the pitch. We didn't expect that at the start of play today. We were surprised to see Declan McManus listed as a substitute, and even more surprised that he has come on. But yeah, it looks okay at the moment. Hasn't done too much, but perhaps just enough really, as TNS have got themselves back in it.
Well, it's like the walking wounded at the moment, because Hesper have been down to 10 men for a while. One of their players has received a knock to his forehead, and he's got a bandage on, but it's bleeding very heavily through that bandage, so I can't see that the referee would allow him back on yet. They haven't done a good enough job to stop the bleeding, and it's absolutely pouring through that white bandage, so I'd be surprised if he's allowed to come back on in that state.
Sodden with blood, isn't it, on the bandage?
Like that famous picture of Terry Butcher from the early 90s playing for England, where he had a big bandage around his head, didn't he, and blood pouring from it.
Surprised he's allowed on the pitch.
Right,
Nick, really.
I'm amazed, but if the referee sees it, surely he won't let him to come on. But a shot from just outside the area, hits the post, another chance, and the offside flag goes up. It was Blankson Anoff with the shot from just outside the area. A curled effort hitting the inside of the post. They've ridden their luck, TNS, tonight. Twice now that Swift have hit the woodwork. A penalty saved by Connor Roberts, but it's 1-1 into the final 10 minutes.
It was strong footwork, wasn't it, from Anoff, and he just generated enough curl onto the post from the outside of his boot, and the ball went across almost the goal line, back across towards the other post, and it was cleared.
The TNS now attacking with Davies away to our left-hand side as the sun sets, gets a corner. Good work by Davies, and now a chance for Astles to come forward. 1-1, this game very, very much in the balance.
Well, we said it might be toe-to-toe. Well, that's proven to be right, and let's hope it is box office going into these closing stages now. Who can land that sucker punch before the second leg?
I'm just amazed that the forward with that bandage on is allowed to continue. The goalkeeper's come flapping for that corner and made a right meal of it, but they do get it clear. Down towards this right-hand side. Looney with that bandage on is pulling out and now has a chance to attack down the right. The ball slightly too far in front of him, which allows for New Saints to get players back in behind the ball. But a dangerous ball into the near post, and it's looped away. Still, the danger is present there. Shot deflected. Once more, another shot, and it's been kicked towards Shrewsbury. Down the A5, and off it goes. Goal kick for the New Saints.
It was David Sprudes, wasn't it, with the conversion kick. That was high over the stand, and another chance goes a-begging for the visitors, who really should have punished TNS on more than one occasion in this game.
Well, it's been an entertaining tie.
Yeah, TNS have had their chances too. Look, Josh Daniels in that first half, so 1-1 is probably an even score.
Yeah, Scott Harris, Nick Southall here will be off to Luxembourg next week for the away leg at the National Stadium. 8 minutes to go here though, so there is still work to do. TNS 1, Swift Hesper 1. Mary Kate Wilden with the verdict coming up here on BBC Radio Shropshire. TNS fans, have your say. 81333, start your text with the word Shrop. What are your hopes going into the away leg next week? The winners of this tie will play either Struger or Podgorica in the next round. Winnable ties as well, so they can see a way through to the group stages. The draw slightly better for them than what they got in the Champions League, playing the Swedish champions. Ball's injected in from the right-hand side for Swift, looking to get another goal here away from home. Shot on the turn from the number 22, enough. And enough of that as it goes wide. I hadn't practiced that one.
Wow.
It just came.
Did I get the pronunciation right, by the way? It is Sprudes, isn't it?
Sprudes, it is Sprudes.
Sprudes. It had an umlaut.
Well, it's got...
It had an umlaut over the U.
An umlaut, is that what they're called? I would have called it in French, it's an accent, isn't it?
Oh, it's an umlaut, isn't it?
What's an umlaut?
It's like an accent, but...
Well, yes. I didn't have the best of educations, unfortunately. As you can probably tell. So a goal kick for TNS.
An accent has a point, doesn't it? This is a straight line, so isn't that an umlaut?
It's just the way it's being drawn.
Was an umlaut two dots? I'm not sure. It's been 20 years since I did German.
That's not an umlaut. Here comes Swift. Looney on this right. He's halted and stopped in his tracks there by Jordan Williams. And they're caught in possession. TNS, if they could just steal the ball here, have a chance to break. Looney again. Enough. Over to the right. And he cuts back onto his right foot. Defending in numbers now, the New Saints, and they win themselves a free kick, and there could be some trouble for the man who's remonstrating with the ref, who goes up and squares up, and you soon shut up, don't you?
Just researching what an umlaut is, and I think it might be. There you go.
I haven't got a clue what you're going on about. Here's Dick McManus at the other end, goes down along with the defender of that name that you just mentioned, with the unlout or no unlout. It's a free kick for TNS. And it is a yellow card there for Davis Sprutz. So a free kick. This is 30 yards away from goal, maybe slightly further. But an opportunity here for TNS.
He was born in Germany, so I think it is an umlaut.
He keeps saying it. I haven't got a clue what you're on about. Only did French and Spanish at school.
Did French and German. There you go.
Some would say we didn't learn English well enough. Free kick though for TNS.
No comment.
1-1 as we enter the dying stages of this first leg. Just a couple of minutes to go plus stoppage time. Now, can they take the lead? This has been such an entertaining and dramatic night once again here at Park Hall, in this evenly matched game between the champions of Wales and the champions of Luxembourg. This Luxembourg side which has spent hundreds of thousands on their team. Chris Marriott with the delivery. It's into the penalty spot. Astles couldn't get his head on it though, and now they have pace with the substitutes that they've brought on. The New Saints have to be careful here. They get numbers back. Ash Baker takes up a good position. Swift Hesper forced into the centre now with enough onto his right foot, looking for goal, takes a deflection, blocked by Ryan Astles. Still though, the visitors looking to get that second goal if they can on the edge of the TNS box on our right hand side, but TNS get everybody back in behind the ball. A late run, flag stays down, and it's going to be a goal kick. They should have done better from the position that they got into. The goal scorer that gave them the lead after just 17 minutes, Simon Martins, made a right meal of that, and really TNS could have been in real trouble.
Your heart's in your mouth, isn't it, for TNS, because it's one mistake away.
Well, they've given it away. That was a mistake, a rare one by Chris Marriott. Here come Swift again into the penalty area on their right hand side. Good work by Davies, and then cleared by Pask. Now McManus, he's pulled back. Surely that's a sending off. I mean, he grabbed him around the waist. How's that not a red card? It's just a yellow.
It's the last man,
but Dick McManus was through. He was through on goal, and he's just been rugby tackled so blatantly. Oh, that's appalling.
That's a straight red card, isn't it, Nick? That's my understanding. Dear, dear, dear. The referee, I don't know what to say. He's been very lenient. We've used that term a few times in this match. When you feel that he's going to get something right, you would have hoped it was then.
Well, McManus was through, and he would have just had a free run on goal to the goalkeeper. Another big moment as the penalty save from Connor Roberts. This is another one where it could have gone against Swift Hesper, but hasn't on this occasion. Both managers trying to organise their teams with just a few minutes to go. It's 1-1, but can the New Saints get a late winner on the night here to go to Luxembourg next week, or can Swift Hesper get another goal back and regain the lead? They had room down the right, but the pass was a stray one. And TNS now have a throw in their left-back position. Well, it's been a tremendous game, Scott Harris. Who would you give your man of the match to?
What a question. It's certainly been great entertainment. It's been a good team performance. I mean, for me, Connor Roberts with the penalty save, it was at such a pivotal moment of the tie. For me, it probably has to be him.
With 6 minutes to be added on. BBC Radio Shropshire bringing you all the drama from this European competition. And a free kick against the home team. And Swift Hesper and TNS have a man down injured from that collision. So still 6 minutes to go. It's 1-1 and the verdict to come. And well, it's going to be an exciting second leg away in Luxembourg next week if tonight's game is anything to go by. What a dramatic evening it's been.
Well, they're still in the tie, no doubt. We're at the half-time in the tie, effectively. It's making it a little bit more difficult going away for the second leg, not having that lead, that advantage from the home tie. But it's certainly enough to, well, give you an appetite to look on at the next round and think, well, one good performance away from home. And TNS have travelled well in the past. They have lots of European experience. Swift with not many European nights under their belt, certainly with high pressure situations.
The key could be the fitness of Dec McManus if he can start next week. I mean, we didn't expect him to be playing at all tonight, and we thought that there was absolutely no way of him featuring. Then we saw him named as a substitute, and then he came on with quite a long time to go in this game, over half an hour. So it was a very good secret that they kept, TNS, and probably part of a plan to bring him on when he did come on, although they may not admit that in public. And I'm sure the message will be, well, he's struggling, he's going to be a doubt for next week, but it wouldn't surprise me if he started next week, because they look so much better with him in the team.
Well, hopefully he's okay after being rugby tackled right on the halfway line. He would have been through on goal. That the big talking point. Should have been a sending off, in my view, but it wasn't.
Hesper now with the ball in their defence. Out to Struves on the far side. Played forward to the feet of enough. And they poke it down the line looking for a runner, but there's nobody there. And it's gone out for a throw. So a mistake from the New Saints. And a throw around their penalty area now for the visitors, with just a minute or so to go here at Park Hall. TNS 1, Swift Hesper of Luxembourg 1. The winners of this tie will play the winners of the tie between the champions of North Macedonia and Montenegro. And then whoever wins that is not far away from making the group stages. That is how much is riding on nights like tonight. Hesper now get themselves into the box. They can't afford to commit a foul there, and they do well. They defend very well there. Baker was back in support. Pask was in there too, but Hesper still have the ball 40 yards away from goal. Now look to attack down the left channel. Again, Baker does very well and wins a free kick. Brilliant work by Ash Baker. Free kick in the midfield for TNS. Takes a sting out of Swift Hesper. And it looks like we'll be heading to Luxembourg at 1-1.
Well, it was educated from Ash Baker. So won his side a free kick at a crucial moment. Just allows all of the players to shift up the pitch, move that line forward.
Just looking over to the New Saints owner, Mike Harris, who's wearing a Crocodile Dundee style hat and the colours of the New Saints, and he's bobbing up and down. He's a lot happier than he was in the first half when he was watching the game near to our commentary position, where he was chewing away at his fingernails. But he'll be much happier with the showing from his side in the second half here. And the TNS man, Baker, just getting some treatment. They could be making a late change. Chris Sargent, part of the backroom staff with Craig Harrison. Such a great midfielder, playing in many European ties himself, Chris Sargent. Had a really good chat with him away in Nicosia in Cyprus when they played Apoel. Chatted about European games and how it's the pinnacle of their careers to be able to play at the highest level in Europe against some big teams, some massive teams in Europe that they played against. Man City, Liverpool, Anderlecht. They played against a young Romelu Lukaku there in Brussels.
Midtjylland as well?
No, not really. Good team, but I wouldn't class them as giants of European football, would you?
Substitution for the New Saints in the second minute.
Good side, though.
Time, number 27, Jake Canavan, has come on to place number 24, Ash Baker.
We're back underway, and Baker has had to go off, and he's been replaced by Jake Canavan. Waiting for the full-time whistle.
Nicosia aren't Giants?
Applewell? I think they're a better-known club than Midtjylland of Denmark.
Maybe.
Maybe not. Helsingborgs they played against. You've heard of Helsingborgs? The days back in the 1990s. Henrik Larsson playing for Helsingborgs.
Sort of team that Arsenal would have got in the group stage of the Champions League on ITV2.
Galatasaray are in this round of this competition. It's big clubs that TNS could get in future rounds.
Look at the side. I mean, West Ham won it. Roma won it the year before.
Yeah.
Went on to the Europa League final this season just gone.
Yeah, so you get yourself in one of those groups, and the whole of the media in these parts will be heading here to cover this game. You've got to deal with a free kick though. There's still the seconds tick by. We are deep into stoppage time. It's TNS 1, Swift Hesper 1. The referee blows his whistle. Iloni plays the ball out short instead to the left-hand side and may cut in, looking to pass the ball into the area. Morens back out to Alioni over on the far side towards Courtier. And Moran again turns and then squeeze back to the halfway line, and there we go, full time. Great effort from the New Saints. Cheers from their supporters. Frustration from the opponent's manager, Carlos Banguero, who is not happy at all. Squandered chances for them. They've hit the post twice in that second half. Had a penalty saved as well. Brilliant save from Connor Roberts, but the equaliser coming from Rory Holden after 74 minutes, a brilliant strike, 25 yards away from goal, beating the keeper from that range. He hit it so cleanly, and that was the equaliser. Swift had taken the lead after just 17 minutes. Simon Martins with the effort. It was a sloppy goal for TNS to give away, but they head to Luxembourg next week with, this tie very much alive, Scott Harris, at 1-1.
Yeah, and you thought when the penalty was awarded at 1-0 that Swift were going to double their advantage, but heroic goalkeeping and a fine save from Connor Roberts, who got down low to his right-hand post and stopped what would have been a certain goal from the penalty spot. Of course, you've got the likes of Stoltz, who hit the post. There was a shot that came in and cleared off the line by Ryan Astles as well. So lots of opportunities for the visitors, but TNS have managed to come from behind to rescue the tie. You do feel that if they had failed to score in this tie, then they would have left themselves with a much bigger uphill challenge next week. But as it is at 1-1, they go to Luxembourg level, and it's anyone's game for the second leg.
And we'll be there as well, bringing you full match coverage, exclusive radio coverage here on BBC Radio Shropshire from the National Stadium in Luxembourg City, the capital of Luxembourg. Craig Harrison looks happy as he heads down the tunnel, because he knows his side are well and truly in this and have a big chance to make it through to the third qualifying round. But this is a very evenly matched tie. It's ended 1-1 here. The big moment in that second half was the save from Connor Roberts, and it just seemed to change the momentum in this game.
Yeah, it certainly did, and Declan McManus came on just a few moments after that. That was a big boost for the team. Not sure if they knew that he was going to come on or how fit he was, but it was certainly a big moment, and it just changed the game for TNS, that penalty save. Connor Roberts was my man of the match. It was a fabulous save, and you just felt that if Swift had have doubled their lead at that point, it was going to be an almost impossible task to get anything from the tie. And the fact that they managed to find that goal, credit to Rory Holden with the strike. There was quite a temper on it, more than enough to trouble the goalkeeper Dupire, who struggled to get anything on it. I think he got a touch on it and the ball hit the back of the net, but some venom from Holden. His goal enough to rescue what is a good opportunity now, with a week to go until the second leg in Luxembourg. And I think Craig Harrison will be a little bit disappointed in some ways in terms of how they fell behind again. TNS having to come from behind, maybe not learning their lessons when it comes to getting to second balls. Connor Roberts will be disappointed in the way that he conceded, but it was a fine performance from him, and actually everyone from a TNS perspective, certainly in the second half, they rose to the occasion. You mentioned at the start of the second half, just think back to playing the Keffin Druids in a league tie when it's raining and miserable in November, just to have this opportunity in the summer to have a European adventure. And TNS are still in it as they head on the road.
Yeah, it's 1-1, and reaction to come here from Parkour. We'll be hearing from the head coach, Craig Harrison, as they head to Luxembourg. 1-1 for next week. But Javi will say with Mary Kate Wilden on the verdict next.
Midweek Sport
on BBC Radio Shropshire
with Mary Kate Wielden.
Well, welcome back to Parkour here on BBC Radio Shropshire. We're here with you until 10 o'clock, so don't go anywhere. We're going to hear from the TNS manager, Craig Harrison, very shortly. But between now and then, I've still got Scott Harris with me, and there's a lot to talk about. A lot happened in that second half. There's plenty of stuff to go through.
Well, as a neutral, it was a very entertaining game of football, wasn't it? I think from a TNS perspective, you were just hoping that they could find a way back into it. They managed to do that. I think they were good value, actually, in the second half. You just worried at the start, didn't you, in the first, that they just couldn't quite get through the gears and move through the gears. And when Josh Daniels had that chance in the first half that fell to him at some speed from the left side, the ball was, whisked in at electric pace. And he just couldn't control it. And he skied it over the crossbar. When you would have put money on him scoring, he would have been, 8 yards out maybe. And somehow managed to, when you expected the net to bulge, the ball went over the stand. And I think that was very disappointing, because at that moment you just think, well, would it have changed the game earlier? As it was, it got to half-time and Swift had that slender lead.
Well, make sure you have your say as well. Get in touch. Drop me a text on 81333. Start your message with the word shop. We'll be here with you until 10 o'clock. Well, one of the big parts of the second half was Declan McManus coming on. We didn't think he would play. We didn't think he was going to come on. We don't know if that was psychological or if it was kind of we need a goal and he's the man that can get you a goal.
Probably a mixture of the two, wasn't it? I think if TNS had been cruising or even with a one-goal advantage, they probably wouldn't have put him on. But I think it was just a stroke of genius, really, to reignite the spark of TNS after that penalty save. Roberts diving low to his right, stopping the shot from Stoltz, and the arrival of Declan McManus, he did very well to get those minutes and get that sharpness back up. I must mention when he was rugby tackled right in the centre circle with moments to go, not entirely sure why that wasn't a red card. I mean, our view is a little bit restricted here. We've got support columns for the new stand that have gone in, and our position isn't quite, I suppose it's a temporary position, but yeah, we couldn't quite see whether he was the last. I'm pretty certain that he was.
I can only assume that he just didn't think he was the last man. There was, I can't remember who it was now, but there was another player tracking back. So you can only assume he thought. I don't think he would have got there if Declan McManus hadn't been tackled to the floor.
Yeah,
I think he'd have been one-on-one with the keeper, and usually that goes his way.
Well, he would have had a lot of ground to still run. He was, just past the halfway line, but yeah, that man tracking back must have been just level behind for the referee. He had the best view. We didn't have the best view from up here, sadly, but another pivotal moment, and I think a pivotal moment that probably earns TNS the rights to be level going into the second leg. Stoltz had that other effort in the second half, just tracking back as he pulled the trigger as it hit the post. And I think Anoff had his moment where he curled the shot from the edge of the penalty area to the right side of the D, and it went off the post and almost trickled along the goal line, enough for a TNS player to just hoof it clear. But another dangerous moment in that second half. Swift created lots. They've almost created enough perhaps for a second goal, and I think their manager Carlos Frangrero will be just a little bit upset that his players weren't able to find a second. Craig Harrison won't care, though. He'll be absolutely relieved that they managed to keep the score down to 1, and getting a goal themselves has left this tie hanging in the balance for the second leg next Tuesday, and it makes it quite a lucrative, attractive tie for the neutral to watch in Luxembourg next Tuesday night.
Yeah, fine margins, like for the Declan McManus call, and the Swift Hesper, they hit the post twice. Ryan Assels cleared one off the line. It was a game of very fine margins, and Swift may think they had the more clear-cut chances.
Yeah, only just, I think. I think TNS were good value at times as well. I mean, you look back at that Josh Daniels chance in the first half, and he was relaying it in his mind just a few moments after missing it. He was swinging his foot as if to say, how on earth did I make a meal of that? It was on a plate, as they say. It's almost the dream opportunity, isn't it? The ball coming in at some pace, perhaps a little bit too much on it from that left side, and all you had to do, the keeper was beaten. He's just hit the target, so he will be probably still having nightmares about that one at 2 a.m. if he gets to sleep by that point.
Well, let us know what you think tonight. Get in touch, drop us a text on 81333. Start your message with the word Shrop and let us know what you think. Can they win it at the second leg? That's away next Tuesday in Luxembourg. Of course, we'll have full match commentary and build-up of that game. Kick-off is 7 o'clock our time over here. We'll have build-up from 6 o'clock with Nick Southall and Scott Harris. I can see Craig Harrison making his way over. I think he'll be quite a happy man. But we'll have some post-match reaction coming up next. Welcome back to Park Hall, where it's finished all level here as the New Saints played out a draw with Swift Hesper in the second qualifying round of the UEFA Conference League. Don't go anywhere, as we're going to get post-match reaction from manager Craig Harrison very shortly. I'm still here with your summariser tonight, Scott Harris. And Scott, one of the main people you called out and I think was your man of the match was goalkeeper Connor Roberts. We spoke before about how important he could be, and that just proves so.
Oh, definitely, and you look back to the first leg at Hacken a fortnight ago, and he's probably my man of the match then. He pulled off a number of quality saves, and his reading of the game is first class. And you know what, when the penalty was awarded, it's easy to say now, but I did think, if anyone's going to save this penalty, Connor Roberts is probably going to be the man to do it, given his confidence of late at the start of this season. And he managed to do that again, just got down really quickly to his right-hand post and just palmed the ball away, and he was absolutely flying at that point. He did a fist pump and was delighted to keep TNS in the tie at that point, because it was looking pretty bleak, wasn't it, when you've got a penalty to try and save with your side 1-0 down at home. You're looking in big trouble, but that was the big turning point, I think, and TNS used that as a catalyst to get themselves back in it, and they managed to find that goal that's kept them level in the tie. And Rory Holden, the way he just managed to pounce and control the ball before making his body shape, it was arced to pull the trigger with some pace at goal on target. A little fumble from the goalkeeper, and it's 1-1 and they're back in it. And I think Craig Harrison, who's speaking to Nick Southall shortly, will be he'll be delighted in some ways, but maybe just a little bit disappointed with how they started and how they conceded after 17 minutes. It was one of those goals that you look back on and you just think, it was so sloppy. It was good to get the block in from the original free kick over on that right side, right on the paint, the edge of the right side of the penalty area. Ball came back in, wasn't dealt with. An acute angle for Connor Roberts to get down low to deal with it, and it was Martins who just had the ball at his feet, little flick into the back of the net, and it was 1-0. And probably at that point, probably not deserved, but on the balance of play, Swift were more than worthy of their goal, and I think so were TNS. So maybe it's the right result.
It feels like we've said this before this game, before both of the Hacken games, but it absolutely stands true again for the next game. They cannot concede early, especially away from home next week.
Yeah, you need that confidence, don't you, from the get-go, especially in Europe. The teams will be ferocious. They will, any team who can get their foot on the ball will want to pass the ball and make life difficult for their opponents. TNS need to be able to do that. They struggled in Hacken with the atmosphere, and it took them a good 20 minutes or so before Declan McManus got them back in it in that tie. But ultimately the damage was done, and you don't really want to be on that back foot. You want to be on that front foot. Don't give Swift a sniff of a chance to take the lead in this tie when they're at home next Tuesday. TNS more than capable of holding themselves with possession, very good with the ball at times, and you just go through the players that they have. The likes of Davies as well, Marriott in that left back position, Josh Pask, the two centre back pairings were really, really good for large parts of that game. And then the likes of Josh Daniels as well, who was really, really pacey on that right side, switched to the left side in that second half. He was a real handful. So it's going to be, how can Craig Harrison get the likes of Josh Daniels into the game more and just cause more of a nuisance of himself? And if Declan McManus stays fit, and he's got a week ahead of him now before the second leg, he's only going to get stronger, you feel. I hope anyway. I'm sure Craig Harrison will be able to tell us on the shape of Declan McManus now the game is over. But a fully fit Declan McManus will definitely be starting in Luxembourg next Tuesday. It'll be interesting to see who makes the cut for the starting 11. I can't imagine he'll want to change too much. Obviously 1 or 2 knocks. It could be a slightly different shape. Well, it'll be almost certainly a different shape away next Tuesday, but maybe 1 or 2 changes predicted.
That's Scott Harris, your summariser tonight here on BBC Radio Shropshire. We're here with you until 10 o'clock, bringing you all the post-match reaction to TNS's draw with Swift Hesper here at Park Hall. The fans have emptied out. It always, no matter how many football games you go to, it always surprises you how fans quickly can leave a ground. But the ground is pretty much empty now. There's a few people filling up the TV vans and rolling up wires, and there's only a few of us left here now. But we'll bring you reaction from Craig Harrison very shortly after May Muller. Make sure you follow us as well on our Twitter. It's at BBC Shop Sport, as we bring you all the updates of our local athletes. We've also got a couple of our local teams in pre-season action tonight. Shrewsbury Town played out a 1-1 draw with Starbridge, and AFC Telford, they're currently losing 4-0 to Tamworth in their pre-season fixture. So that one isn't going their way this evening. But their seasons both start on the 5th of August, so not a long time now till the season starts. I can see Scott Harris rubbing his hands together, ready to go again.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to it. Royston on the opening day at the New Bucks Head. It's going to be quite a season, I think, for AFC Telford United. Kevin Wilkins been working tirelessly over the 90-day period between Boston away, which seems like a lifetime ago, and obviously the opening day of the season a week on Saturday. But it's going to be a different season for the Telford supporters, and hopefully a good one.
A very, very different season. Of course, we'll have all of the AFC Telford and Shrewsbury Town games here on BBC Radio Shropshire, and we'll also have next week's second leg of TNS versus Swift Hesper here on BBC Radio Shropshire. Reaction coming next from manager Craig Harrison. Jason Derulo, want me here on BBC Radio Shropshire from what is becoming a little bit of a chillier Park Hall. It's a lovely clear evening though, and this, it's still quite bright for saying it's now 9:30, but it's been a lovely evening here at TNS, where they've played out a 1-1 draw with Luxembourg champions Swift Hesper, and they'll play that second leg away next Tuesday night. And now we can get some reaction from their manager Craig Harrison.
Well, Craig, another entertaining, dramatic night in Europe here for you. What did you make of that?
Disappointing. Disappointing how we use the ball, disappointing in possession of the ball. Not like us whatsoever. Really poor. And I don't know where that's come from as an in-possession of the ball, because we've been really good. We are good. We've got very good players. We've got good players comfortable in the ball. The lads worked hard. We've had very little numbers out on the pitch for all week, etc., etc. We've got limited changes that people are fully fit to bring freshness off. All them stuff like that. The lads that worked hard and all that. That's fine. That's great. That's brilliant. And I'm really pleased and proud of that, because it's quite easy to give up sometimes. And we've got a real mentality and a team spirit. But just the other side, I was a little bit disappointed in tonight. And that's probably an understatement. I thought we didn't play as well as what we can play.
Yeah, first 20 minutes in particular, quite sluggish, would you say?
Yeah, I just think we lacked a little bit of quality, if I'm all honest. I've got to be honest out there. I'm not saying anything to use what I haven't said to the players and what I'll say to them when I go in there. It is, and I think if they're honest and we've got a brand in the way we play, and the way we play is that we look after the ball and we'll be in better possession of the ball. And I think that's from the first whistle till the last. I think we've got another 15% in possession, better than what we were today. For whatever reason, I don't know. Like I said, can never ever. I'm really pleased with the commitment of the players and the and the run right at the end, the tracking runners, the blocking shots. Connor's had a good night again. Mind you, the only what you saved a penalty. So in them are pivotal moments in football games. And 5 minutes later we're scoring a goal, and and possibly we could have scored two. They've definitely got one sent off. It should have been two, or could have been three. Kicking out and then dragging someone down when they're through on goal. Then it's. But it is what it is. I'm not going to go into that too much. I'm going to go into what we can control. We can't control other people's performances, but we'll control our team's performance. And I think we could have been a bit better.
Dec McManus came on earlier than probably anybody expected. Yeah. Was that always in the plan, or was it just a gut feel?
Yeah, look, I've me and Dec have had good communication. Phil's done a fantastic job over the last week. And Dec's carrying an injury, but he said he'll play as long as we need him to play. He's never going to be play 90 minutes. Because he's not kicked the ball since Hacking, really, away. So it's really been tough for him. So, but we I thought it was the right thing to do. Sometimes these things, possibly he could have done it at half time. We spoke about it at half time. We did speak about it at half time, but we're 15 minutes into the second half and it's still 1-0, and Ryan Brobble's not trained all week as well. So how long's he got left in his legs again? And and then obviously Danny Williams has come on when he's not fit. He's hit one or two long balls and he can't strike a ball over 40-50 yards after that. So we're really patching up and really getting on with it. And as much as I'm disappointed about our performance in possession, I think as in a group of lads and a group of men that they've stuck together, we're well and truly in the tie, and hopefully with a little bit of respite in a week or so we might get a couple back, and the lads who are playing with knocks and might have another 4 or 5 days recovery. Even then we're talking about Ryan Brobble. He's not trained all week. He done set plays yesterday and that was it, because he's had a metatarsal injury, and then he goes flying into a tackle in the first half, and without any fear of being injured again. So that's the mentality we've got. We just could have been a little bit better. That's my disappointing bit.
That's the new Saints manager, Craig Harrison, speaking to BBC Radio Shropshire's Nick Southall. I'm here with your summariser tonight, Scott Harris. Scott, well, what do you make of what he's had to say?
Well, it was a roll of the dice, and I think it was the right call to bring on Dec McManus. It was a pivotal moment of the game after that penalty save that denied the visitors going 2-0 up. That would have been a real mountain to climb in this tie going into the second leg. And well, it changed the game. It allowed Rory Holden to have that snapshot. It was a fierce strike at goal, and it crept in under. I think the goalkeeper got something to it. Took a slight deflection, I think, from Holden, and just wrong-footed the goalkeeper. Got a hand to it, but most importantly, it went into the back of the net for 1-1. And TNS won't care how it ended up in the back of the net. But yeah, Declan McManus obviously still nowhere near 100%, but willing to put his body on the line for the team, and just did enough. His presence was enough as more of a distraction, perhaps, for the Hesper defenders. And Craig's right in I don't think you can fault the commitment and the effort of the players across the 90 minutes. I think Craig would have wanted them to have started a little bit sharper, a little bit better, more of a tempo, more possession of the football. And I think he's right when he says that they needed a little bit more quality at times, and there was a few wasteful chances in that first half. Josh Daniels won't even need to be told about his miss in the first half. He will be replaying that almost 100 times in his head when that ball comes to you right on the edge of the 6-yard box. There's only one place that you're expected to put it, and that is not over the crossbar. So he will not even need to have any kind of conversation with Craig Harrison about that. TNS can create chances, we know that. They will create opportunities next week. What they do have to learn and be well drilled on is that ferocious attack on the counter from Swift Hesper, who were very good on the ball, and the pace that they have, the strength in depth. It's going to be very difficult to predict the starting 11 for the visitors, because a number of their substitutes will have been staking a claim for a place in the starting 11. I mean, Anoff, the substitute, the number 22, he was a real box of tricks, a real handful. He had his efforts on goal. And you just look at the squad and you would probably say that TNS will still be underdogs going into the second leg. Swift Hesper have quality. We know that. They're going to be on home territory. They're going to dictate play and cause TNS all sorts of problems, but I think the New Saints have got a lot of fight left in them. They want to keep their European adventure going for this season. We've mentioned a few times in commentary, when you're at the Keffin Druids, I'm picking on the Keffin Druids here, but you get the point when you're away there on a wet, miserable November night in the Cymru Premier, and you win those matches. TNS very good domestically. They've earned the right to be at this stage of European competition. They need to make it count. This is the moment for them now to kick on. It could be their last game in Europe, but if they go through, what a lucrative tie in the third qualifying round, whether that be in North Macedonia or Montenegro. You'd probably be a little bit distracted, wouldn't you, knowing the draw, because you would probably want to try and get to Montenegro if possible. So it's still very much on a knife edge. It's on as even. Craig will be disappointed not to have taken a lead away to Luxembourg next Tuesday, but all is not lost. It's very much all square.
That second leg coming up next Tuesday night, and of course we'll have it all here on BBC Radio Shropshire. We'll be bringing you build up from 6 o'clock, with kick-off being 7 o'clock. Nick Southall and Scott Harris will be your team out there in Luxembourg, so make sure you don't go anywhere for that one, and follow along to see if TNS can continue their European journey in the Conference League. We'll have more between now and 10 o'clock coming up next. Tonight we've had a couple of pre-season games as well for our local sides, with Shrewsbury Town drawing 1-1 with Stourbridge, and Telford lost 5-0 away at Tamworth tonight in pre-season action. If you want to follow up and keep up with your local team, whoever you support, make sure you follow us on Twitter at BBC Shropsport. Drop us a follow on there and make sure you stay in touch with all the latest goings on at your side. We'll bring you a little bit more reaction to tonight's game next. Robin S. Show Me Love here on BBC Radio Shropshire. We're bringing you reaction to tonight's game with TNS taking on Swift Hesper. They played out a 1-1 draw tonight, but it's only the first leg. The second leg's coming up in Luxembourg next Tuesday night. And part of your commentary team that will be there next week is, of course, Nick Southall. Nick, what can they take from tonight's game into next week? What are the positives that they'll take?
I think they're definitely in with a chance of beating Swift Hesper. I think these are probably two evenly matched teams. I think the other positives are that Dec McManus appears to have got through that 30 minutes or so unscathed, so their leading scorer has a real chance of playing next week. which I think is crucial to their chances to progress. It will give a bit more time for the likes of Danny Redmond, who didn't feature tonight, to try and get ready for next week. They do have some other injury concerns at the moment, but I think just their sheer kind of endeavour to keep going as they did. I think that Craig Harrison will, as he said earlier, he'll feel that they probably showed them a bit too much respect and were quite sluggish with their the tempo to their game. So there's a lot more to come from the New Saints, and the fact that they drew 1-1 tonight and weren't at their best probably bodes well for next week.
Yeah, that goal probably, helping him, not just in terms of the score, obviously, but just the confidence to know that they could get back into the game. That'll mean a lot for them going into that game.
It will, and I think they had some really good chances as well. Josh Daniels could have scored in the first half. But I thought on the whole had a pretty good game, Josh Daniels. And they've got an excellent goalkeeper in Connor Roberts, who, as we saw against BK Hacken, pulled off a number of fine saves, as he did here tonight. And I think that penalty save in the second half really was a bit of a swing in momentum into TNS's favour. I did have a quick chat with Stoltz, the striker for Swift Hesper, and he was saying that they didn't play very well at all tonight, and you could see the real frustration on their players' faces as they left the pitch. Their manager wasn't very happy either, and this is still a very new look team for Swift Hesper. They've only played a couple of games alongside each other because there are so many new signings made by the new manager that it's a good time to play them. So I think there are lots of positives. And the tie all square going into that game next week, all to play for.
I mean, the game tonight finished over an hour ago now, but Craig Harrison's still out there just finishing up his press duties. When that game comes next week and they go just before they go out to play, what do you think his message is going to be to the players?
I think it would be play without fear. I think that he'll want them to play at a greater tempo to their game than they did. He'll want them to be more on the front foot than they were in the opening 20 minutes here tonight. But that said, they'll be away from home, and it will be a case of that they may, for the opening 15 minutes, look to just make sure that they don't concede, growing confidence in the game, and then take the game to Hesper, because I think they've actually got some good attacking players. So I think that as long as his team can improve on tonight's performance, be better in possession, be more assertive in possession, then they'll be in a very good position to try and win.
Well, of course, we'll have that game coming for you next Tuesday night. Make sure you follow us on social media at BBC Shrop Sport. We'll bring you all the build-up next Tuesday from 6 o'clock live on BBC Radio Shropshire. Your commentary team of Nick Southall and Scott Harris will be out in Luxembourg. It's finished all square tonight here at Park Hall. TNS drew level towards the end of the game and take it 1-1 to Swift Hesper next week. We'll bring you build-up from 6 next week on BBC Radio Shropshire. Thanks for joining us tonight, and we'll speak to you next week.
And the free kick is scuffed, but they get another chance into the near post, and they've scored. Swift Hesper have taken the lead at the near post, and it's Simon Martins who got the touch. And the Luxembourg champions have taken the lead here after just 14 minutes. Here is Dominique Stoltz, the 33-year-old. Played most of his career in the third tier of German football. Shoots and save! Brilliant save by Connor Roberts. Low down to his right-hand side. And just as he did in Sweden, with a man-of-the-match performance, that could be a crucial save here again. He's such a good goalkeeper, Connor Roberts. Ball is cleared, but it's back to Holden. Shoots! Scores! Holden scores! Left-footed drive, and it's into the bottom corner. Brilliant shot from Rory Holden, and finally they've got their shooting boots on, and now this tie looks very different in this UEFA Europa Conference League qualifier. It's TNS 1, Swift Hesper 1.